And your life.
Hello and welcome to the Contenders Trials Europe, Middle East and Africa. It's day 3 and this series is really Shakespearean. There's been a lot of drama both on and off the field during the last few days, and that would put Bollywood to shame, I'm pretty sure. Today, though, we have the first epic matchup between Sheercold and Astra Aspera, only to then be followed by the dramatic clash between the Ultimates and Shoes Money crew. My name is the Mansa, your English Lit major for today, and with me is the win rate writer, the poet of prosaic pro play, and the bellicose bard of Battle.net, man of class.
Hello, hello, and yes, it is indeed those 4 teams that are going to be facing off today, starting with Sheercold and Astra Aspera, and of course, there's still a lot on the line for these teams. It's only day 3 of trials. The groups are still a bit volatile. We're starting to see some, front runners, starting to see some teams that are not doing so hot. 2 games down can be a tough spot to be in, but luckily for Sheercold and Astra Aspera, their contenders' ambitions are still alive. Sheercold currently up in a 2-0 lead with dark mode and in their group, and then Astra Aspera is on that 1-1. So win for both of these teams would actually mean a lot, maybe a bit more for Astra to tie up that score between them, but of course, Sheercold also wants to still secure the contender spot. They want to go back where they feel like they belong and where a lot of the community might feel like they belong. They've been there for a few seasons in a row now, so it would be a weird contender season without Sheercold, wouldn't it? But everything is possible in this current iteration because we've seen some weird shakeups happening, and Astra is definitely one of those teams that has come into this scene. It's players we know, it's players we've seen before: Levitate, Mayday, Hazox, Timo, Eli, Skyle. No, they're not new, but they are showing up with a vengeance. They're definitely here to prove that they still got it, that they still want to make that push for the next tier. And coming out of Open Division, already not losing every single game in trials, they're making a great head start.
They are definitely, and looking at both of the teams right now that they still have to face, but they have to beat Sheercold and of course Dark Mode in looming in the background, if you so will. What do you think are the chances for Sheercold today as they face off against Astra?
So looking at what both of these teams have in their history, right? Astra barely made it into trials in the first place. They got 4th place in Open Division, which is exactly what they needed. And then, with these players that have so much experience, you would definitely expect them to be able to go the distance, to go further, to be able to actually keep consistently going, not lose their mental focus, not lose their drive. But when you look at a team like Sheercold, they had the same roster for quite a while now, does come in with a few new support players after Contenders. They've been there. They know that consistency. They know that level. And yes, I said it before, where Sheercold does feel like they need a bit of that power boost, a little bit of that revitalization. But after their game against Obey Alliance, after their game yesterday as well, I'm not that doubtful anymore. I think Sheercold still got it. Their DPS are doing their work. The tanks are popping off, and the supports are keeping everybody alive. It's exactly what they need as a unit. So at Astra is definitely the team that has to show that they've got what it takes to put a challenge today.
And on the side of Astra Aspera, you said so they need to show what they have in order to get past Sheercold. Now, how do they go about that? What is the key point here?
I think a lot of what Sheercold was playing around very well was their backline, with especially the Ana Mercy Ashe combo. You saw a lot coming out from especially Grathen and Lucer and Refit. For that reason, Lucer was often felt like the target they prioritized, and then if they couldn't get Lucer, or just wanted to keep on going, they went after the Ashe and the Mercy. And if you can stop them from doing all the damage from high grounds, which are present on a lot of these maps, then Astra actually has a pretty good chance to, rival with that. But they still need to show up. The DPS, the tank line, they need to be able to get on top of them. And so far, no team has really been able to challenge Sheercold in that aspect. So we will see if Astra has what it takes. But right now, we're going to just go into the first map, see what they're going to do. We're going to be starting on Busan today, a map that we haven't seen yet so far as I'm aware. I think everyone either didn't go to map 5 when it was selected, or it wasn't one of the first maps. So good to see a new map. Good to see that these teams still have to adapt to something potentially. And we might see some interesting compositional swaps that we haven't seen so far in trials.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that, especially like you said, sheer cold on Busan or on any control map is able to keep their backline safe. But we know the DPS lineup for and Astra, Skyle, and Eli are known for their aggression, are known for their thinking while being in there. So very, very strategic DPS players, if you so will. So I wonder if on these control maps, Sheer Cold can actually hold it together as well as they have.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm really looking forward to. Let's see, Busan. Yeah, we don't know which part, of course, we're
We
going
don't know what
in
we're
just
gonna get
yet.
yet. No, we have to wait until we get into the map. But yeah, no, it has three very different stages, right? Like we always talk about the holy trinity of control maps, so to speak. So you have Lijiang, which everyone loves. Then you have Busan, which like they're sort of rivaling in how diverse they are. And then as a third, you usually get Nepal mentioned, which is like that other map that has three relatively distinct points, like an open one, a very enclosed one, and then you have that one with the environmental. And the same thing kind of goes for Busan. Like Busan is in there in that list. You get the mecha base first here right now, which has those walls that come up and down I think it's every 15 seconds. Like it's an actual measurable interval. So it's one of those things where I still waiting for that team that makes the proper adjustment to saying, okay, this is when we actually use the walls to our advantage. Run around it and say, oh, now it's gonna come up, now it's gonna come down. And if you can time that properly, then you can actually have some pretty cool plays. But currently in this meta, that might actually be something that works. When you can dive on an Ana or protect your own Ana by just walking around the wall at the same time. What we do see in Spawn right now, though, is that both these teams have a slightly different approach to how they want to potentially play this. They haven't left yet. It's a lot of room for shuffles, but it has so far seemed like Shade and Alex do prefer that Roadhog Zarya combo, and Teemo and Hazox have been more on the Winston Zarya. So the double bubble versus the bubble and the meat shield, basically. So I love seeing that. I love seeing that teams do something different against each other. And what Astra and Aspera and Sheer Cold are going to do, the first fight's going to depend a lot.
Yeah, getting that first point will be instrumental. Getting the first little bit of win over there. Now moving across that bridge on the side is Sheer Cold, which sending Shade basically all the way over towards the face of that Astra. Team already going down because Brathan had a nice setup on the sideline. We do see that that Shade is on the point, is taking that cap and making sure that they have something to work with. So first point going to Sheer Cold, and Astra had to pull back early because they just lost the tank line before they could be dangerous in any way.
And I like this swap from Teemo to the Wrecking Ball. You want to be able to do more consistency, see that bubble of the Winston won't really help you because you can't split off that backline as easily. And you see immediately the results as well. Hazox is now a bit more solo, but got taken down low. But Teemo can just roll around the speed of sound now.
Well, Backbone looking for another target in the guise of Teemo. Same with Shade. Teemo has to pull back immediately because you don't want to get hooked into both the Hog and the Tracer. That is just dangerous. Eli from the backline coming in, making sure that Shade is down. And now there's a bit of an opener. Backbone reciprocates, gets the main tank out for the ladies and gentlemen at Aspera. And the Pulse Bomb is ready. Now looking for an opening onto Haddock. Has that personal bubble push. They should know that. And now he's going for it. Perfectly done. Going for the back line. Levitate. Trying to keep their companion in Mayday alive. But both of them go down. Sheer Cold holding this point. Still 56% on the clock already.
That was such a good early pick on Shade as well. Shade had nowhere to go, but afterwards there was no room for Aspera to actually get on top of Sheer Cold. They really tried, but Teemo was slept, and then everyone else just couldn't quite get to that follow-up because Backbone is doing so much around them together with Grathan. They're doing a huge amount of damage.
We will see what is going to happen in the next little bit. Teemo moving in on the backline, is up on that bridge, immediately goes for Grathan, bypasses Shay more or less. So Teemo now has the opportunity. There's the EMP though, coming out straight at Astra with a good attack, but that falls apart quickly as Grathan and Backbone immediately get all the pressure down, and then it's just an Alex for the cleanup. 96%, and there is just no touching on the side of
Yeah, and as mean or as you know annoying as it sounds, you really see the difference between how much DPS are outputting. Like 100%, Skyle and Eli have to step it up in the next match, in the next maps, because so far Backbone and Grathen were just running circles around them, getting the headshots in with that Mercy Ash combination, and Eli and Skyle just couldn't do the same thing on that Tracer Sombra. There weren't as many hexes you might want to, maybe 1 or 2 on the Shade. But now that we see the swap coming out, where Skyle is going to be on the Widowmaker, so is Grathen, and we're going to see the Roadhog Hammond matchup, it's really going to all be about, you know, who hits more shots. But also, the main thing is that you don't have that damage boost, because Levitate will be on that Brigitte, because you're expecting that Tracer, and that's fair. But your backline, is it really more important than getting the kills?
Well, it's also a matter of feeling more comfortable on it. We know that Levitate plays a fantastic Brigitte, so that might actually just be looking for that little bit of a brawl and also getting the comfort point straight in there. We see Teemo very far forward looking for the fight between Shade and Alex. Good hook on Hazax's part, gets spooked back at the end of the day, so Shade is able to finish off Teemo, and that is a good opener for Sheer Cold straight here, and they are immediately looking for more kills as they get 3 picks out of that setup. Alex in the back line fighting it out versus Hazax right here, gets away cleanly, gets away safely, and Alex, we've seen what he can do on the ball a couple of days ago, so I'm looking for a repeat on that on his part.
Yeah, and as much as we've seen all these beautiful Tracer POVs and, you know, the Widowmakers and the Ashes taking shots at everybody, it's so good to see that tank battle every now and then. Because you can see the difference in ult charge. Teemo goes down early. Meanwhile, Alex and Shade are just able to double team on top of Hazox. The Anas as well, helping out with the sleep darts in those entire fights. Not that much with the anti-nades, but that doesn't matter. If they're slept, they're disabled for a while, and you can do so much to get space and just deny that tank viability.
Yeah, and on these control points, it's just not about space control at all. It is about the brawliness of those tanks, and it does look like Sheer Cold's front line have that absolutely in the back. There's a whole hawk coming out from Hazax after they are able to finally get Alex back into spawn on there, and now Shade has that whole hawk, gets the nano boost, ties up onto Levitate. He's actually not planning on using the hawk right now as he goes for a 1v1 onto Hazax. This time Alex comes up and cheats it along. The 1-1 was not entirely granted to him, but the efficiency is still there. 60% on the clock, counting for Sheer Cold.
As well, right? We see these tanks fighting out, but in the meantime, there's like a whole other battle going on where the Tracers, Widowmakers, and like the supports are completely trying to outmaneuver each other, and the Widows are trying to not die to the Tracers are trying to get the Widowmakers, they're trying to, you know, get on top of the supports and everything, and that's a really fun dynamic that I haven't seen much of. Now we see Skyle here on the Widowmaker, so we're going to see a little bit more of that, but still, Skyle has to take these aggressive positions to not be caught out by a Tracer.
Yeah, Skyle needs to be rather close to the team, has that infosite already used, gets knocked by the bomb and is absolutely lit on, but Elo reciprocates by getting Grathen down. So now it is the Mercy on Refit's side that immediately takes that advantage away. But right now, after the flip, we do see at Astra Aspera now ready to make a mark on this point for themselves. 12% on the clock, and they look like they're in a decent position to actually defend this.
Yeah, it will be Shade and Alex with their ultimate, but so Teemo and Hazax. It's really going to be potentially the nano boost that makes the big difference, because Mayday's already got it, and Lucer's not really that close.
Yeah, Lucer needs a little bit more time to get their own nano boost back up. Alex in the backline looking for a couple of targets, but it's Shade that once again wins the fight versus Hazax. It is absolutely instrumental to have a Roadhog that can carry not only their own weight, but the weight of their entire backline, you know, standing in the middle of this fight. Grathen, nice shot onto Skyle there as Backbone is looking for a couple more targets. Grathen looking for more. Levitate is actually out of shield. Backbone uses that, gets a double kill with a pulse bomb, and is able to take Teemo out just as a part of that. Now Hazax has that whole hawk, but Backbone is there, is able to click the head of that. The overtime wick is running, and Sheer Cold in control of this and gets the first map.
A lot of this is all on the back of not actually the tank play. A lot of what you see happens actually because Loser is just popping off. Hits amazing sleep darts. The grenades are well as well. And no one is really trying. I mean, they're trying, but no one's really able to get on top of Loser. But because Loser just supports that tank line so well, because they're hitting those sleep darts and those anti-nades onto the enemy and, the healing nades on their own team, then all of a sudden you don't really have the ability to go past that tank line because Shade will always be in your way. Even if you hook Shade, you get slept by Loser, and then Shade just wins that hog duel again. And a lot of that is just that coordination between the two, and it doesn't seem to be quite as there between Mayday and Teemo and Hazex a lot of the time. So if you want to see a change here from Ad Astra, you're really looking for that connection between that backline and frontline to be a bit more present, because that is how Sheer Cold is winning these fights currently.
Yeah, that's right. And also, I must admit one point, right? Maybe Levitate's Brigitte pick, not the greatest thing in the world for that one. It was worth a try. It didn't work out in this setup, but maybe they have a better answer once we go into those set-piece battles as we move on to Junkertown. Now, Junkertown, obviously, long sight lines. We know that both Skyle and Grathan can play their Widowmaker. We have seen Grathan over the last couple of days play an amazing Widowmaker, specifically here on Junkertown. So what are your predictions for this map?
I mean, I'm still waiting for some Sombra play to really get some value, because so far, the only one that really tried it was Eli, and they really didn't get that much value out of the Sombra. Like, they sort of didn't get enough damage in. But when you look at a map like Junkertown, I don't think it's enclosed enough for the Sombra to really get value until you get maybe the second, maybe the third. And before that, it's maybe the hacks can get value for you, but you'd rather have the Widowmaker Tracer, maybe the Widowmaker Hanzo even, to just control those flanks a bit better. Sombra is very good at setting up plays for your tanks and maybe for your other TPS. When she solo has to go on flanks, like protect those, that's not what she's great at, because she takes a while to get value. The time that it takes for her to do her thing is a bit too long for the current time to kill in the game. So I do definitely, I'm not surprised what we're seeing here. We see Grathan and Backbone again go onto that Widowmaker and Tracer, and of course Alex doesn't go with the Zarya or the Wrecking Ball this time around. They go with the Sigma because it's so nice. If you play against the Widowmaker, they throw that shield in her face so that she cannot headshot anyone when she really wants to. So don't give them too many openings, and when you do, throw the experimental barrier out. It's a very simple way to deal with Widowmaker's headshots.
Yeah, the only difference we see here is between Lucer and Mayday, obviously. I'm not a big fan of the Zenyatta pick usually. I know you think differently on that topic. So explain to us why the Zenyatta would be a good pick in this situation, in this almost mirror battle.
So it's slightly boom or bust, but, if you can get that Discord orb on someone and you're able to focus them down, they just have no chance to live. Like, there's just no way that's going to happen. And when you add that hack of Eli to it, that could actually be the formula that breaks open this front line or gets on top of the back line, whatever they're going to choose to go for.
That's right. Speaking of going on top of something, Teemo trying to go a bit of a tango onto Alex. Actually has the backup of his team, so is able to get them down. And this time, Aspera have the picks to actually move this forward quickly as well. Mayday already earning their bacon. So to all your Zenyatta fans out there, I might have been wrong up until now. The first point should actually not be further contested, and we are moving on to point B.
And I like how Mayday was essentially just a third DPS that was walking with Teemo, just making sure they win that duel against Alex. Meanwhile, the flank duels are being won by Eli and Skyle. They took out their counterparts with the Widowmaker and the Sombra. So that's that split up fight when the tank and the front line cannot really work together as much as they could in the control map. It seems to be working out for Astra.
Yeah, Shade is looking to make some space for the rest of the team. Needs to actually take a breather at the end of the day. Hazex goes down, even though Shade was the one hacked. So that was a bit of a miscalculation here for Ad Astra, losing that Roadhog that early in the fight. Alex on top, looking to make sure that the high ground is clear. Furthermore, Eli in the back line, trying to go with a hack, at least get a little bit of that EMP ready, and they're very close to it, actually. But the payload is inching forward only slowly, because right now Sheer Cold is commanding the high ground beautifully.
Yeah, Transcendence comes down early. I don't really know why. Maybe they want to switch anyways, but we're really waiting for the EMP to do some work. And so far, with that anti-nade, Lucer just going to once again secure a kill on Ad Astra. Mayday is indeed going back to spawn. It looks like they're going to switch, because otherwise I don't know why they would be there. Yeah, this is going to be more than a swap up. It's going to be... Oh, I like this one. It's the hyper dive. It's the one where you just go with the Lucio Moira. You have no static backline, and everything just jumps on the enemy wherever you want it. It's still, of course, they have to show that it works, but they have the EMP to just shut down any part of sheer cold they want to jump on.
I wonder, jumping into not Alex isn't the problem, but Shade specifically on that Roadhog is a very risky strategy. The EMP has been fired at the end of the day, so at Astra now moving it forward. Backbone looking for the target in the form of Timo, who is safely behind that little bit of bubble, and they are showing some aggression on that Astra's side, and it seems to be working for now. Grathen finds a shot onto Levitate, but immediately goes down. Now Timo follows it up onto Lucer before going down himself to Shade, but no one is directly there to contest this point. Even Shade will not be just jumping in there. There is a gravity block though, but it got by a great bomb by Backbone. They're just dropping them onto the explosion right away. The hack coming out onto Alex, but that is not enough. Eli will be in a bit of trouble, and so is Skyle. But it is Eli and Skyle and Levitate still on the point right there. Skyle and Levitate both go down, so Eli pulled back, but Astra pushed this very far forward in the span of just a couple of seconds.
And the best thing about it, they only had to use the EMP for it. Eli already up to 60% to the next one. And the rest of the team has actually built up quite a bit towards their ultimates in that fight. They can still go aggressive, and they can fight with 6 wherever they want. That's the beauty of that composition.
Yeah, that's right. Timo and Hazek already jumping onto Shade. Shade needs to pull back, knows that if they stay in front of that front line, even the big Roadhog will not have enough hit points to stop this off. Timo, in a bit of hit point trouble, jumps up onto the high ground. Skull with a nice bolt bomb onto Grathen right there. And now Mayday has that coalescence and is pushing the rest of that team into it. They want that point B. They want that point B fast. And that is exactly what they're fighting for here. And it is beautifully done at the end of the day. Hazix has that Diva Bomb, so they could go and disrupt this before Sheer Cold can actually set up again.
And then once again, they really don't have to use much to win that fight. At Astra's ult economy, their discipline on it has been really good. They're able to find pickoffs without using too many resources and then snowball it from there. It's really how Dive was originally supposed to play, right? You find that first pick, you keep on going, and the Matrix saves Timo.
The Matrix does save Timo, and that was beautifully done because Shade just basically took him off the shelf there, but now Timo moving in, and Shade and Backbone both down. So at Astra Aspera just pushing the pressure up. Grathen, nice double kill on the Ash right there, but they should be under a lot of pressure. They are. There's just one hit point left. They are, but it was looking very, very low. They were coming out of that fight with like 5 hit points at the end of the day, but you do see that the aggression, as soon as it splits up, it gets a little bit unstable.
Yeah, exactly, and Grathen is a very big threat, don't get me wrong, but you send so many after him in like a very short amount of time after each other, not at the same time, and then Grathen is just able to hit those shots, take them out, and that's not what you want to see. And now once again, Shade has realized they're doing it again. They do the same thing as Obey did. You're going to go on the back line.
That's right, there's the Graviton Flock, gets Timo out of the sky. Alex does that beautifully there. We do see Backbone has swapped over to the Sombra as well. Alex with a nice double kill gets Mayday out, so the payload has moved nearly all the way to the cap point, but Sheer Cold once again pulled something out of their hat in order to stop it.
And now they'll only have their support ultimates. I say only, but their support ultimates are pretty dang valuable. And now we're going to have Timo and Skyle on the other side. Hazox goes down late to Lucer. It's a nice stagger to see. And yeah, 1 minute 40, they're basically going to have 2 fights. Maybe 3 if they're quick, but that's not what they want to go for. They want to go for that first fight straight away. They're close to the EMP. They should be able to close this out as long as Lucer and Refit don't find incredible value from those ultimates.
No, that is right. Lucer and Refit, specifically Refit, can keep their team alive for a long time with their ultimate. Refit's Valkyrie, you can laugh about it, but it just does so much healing over a large area, and that is just exactly what they need. Hazix finds Alex in their sideline. Shade is able to get Mayday out, so a little less healing on at Astra Aspera right now. Skyle onto Grathen straight away there, and a good defensive matrix use from Hazix, trying to keep that DPS alive, trying to keep Eli alive, who now has that EMP. Now they're just looking one by one for those targets. Grathan actually gets fired all the way across the map and over that little bit of shade going down, Refit going down. The hack is alive onto Timo, so he needs to pull back for a little bit. There's a Diva Bomb coming out, taking Alex down right there, and it's 30 seconds on the clock. Bob holding back the almost inevitable forward movement of Astra Aspera. But right now, with the return of most of Sheer Cold, that is hard. Skyle with a good pulse bomb to Grathan though, and it looks like Astra Aspera can actually go all the way with this. It is looking very well as Alex tries to spin to win. Is only able to stall it for a bit. Route 1 complete, and that was a beautiful attack.
I mean, and you might think, Timo, why would you use Primal Rage to just get Grathan back to their team? It's very simple, because Grathan and Refit were just chilling behind their own backline. Grathan and Refit just were uncatchable, unkillable for the longest time because they split up the attention of Astra Aspera. So as soon as you're able to throw Grathan just back into the backline of their own team, say, you know what, you wait with the rest of your team in your spawn, we'll come and get you later. I mean, it's a pretty good tactic, right? Like, you don't have to kill them as long as you know exactly where they are, where they cannot do as much damage, because you only have to watch one angle where everyone on that team is. And I don't know, like, maybe there wasn't even the 900 IQ play, but it worked out that way, and you cannot be mad at that.
I mean, and this time around, you do see that there is a bit of a difference when we look at the direct comparison between Obey Alliance's game on Monday versus Sheer Cold and this one, where Obey Alliance was able on their attack, well, we're not able to actually pull it through the full 9 yards, and Sheer Cold was able to actually complete it with another 2 minutes or something on the clock. I don't think at Astra Aspera will let that happen, because they have this forward movement that Obey Alliance in terms of synergy just don't. What do you think about that?
I still have to see the Zenyatta Mercy work on defense, Junkertown. I still have to see it work. If Astra can pull it off, I'll be very happy, but I still have to see it work because it's so boom and bust. You really have to get those kills quickly, otherwise they out-sustain you with that Ana and will just walk right over you. It's really a burst, get picks composition. So Skyle and Eli, it's a big load on their shoulders together with Hazox to get those pickoffs.
Well, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Skyle with the first pick has Backbone already back to spawn. So this might be the opening salvo of what is yet to come. But we will see as the payload is coming around and going into the choke between the two buildings. And Grathan fires onto Eli, who is trying to go for a bit of a flank. There's the res coming out of Levitate almost immediately afterwards, though. So while the payload has come to a bit of a hold, both of the teams not with a pick, I said, until Backbone is proving me wrong there on Skyle. So Backbone jumps down, gets Timo out of that. Grathan with a nice shot on Eli, and Backbone is just taking them apart as Mayday goes down there as well. And the payload is moving further forwards. 2 minutes and 50 on the clock, roughly the same as we've seen earlier. So in terms of timeline, about the same thing.
And it's a question you keep having to ask yourselves. How does Backbone get up there on that Widowmaker? How does Backbone get behind them? And it's flank control. Junkertown, the alley flank, is one of the most underrated flanks in the entire game. It's so hard to protect, but it's so valuable. It's also hard to take if it's well protected. So it's really one of those, you cannot get to that back, like, you cannot get to the Widowmaker without that flank.
No, that's right. Grathan onto Levitate yet again, who was swapping onto a Lucio there. That's an interesting tactic, I would say. They are probably going to go for another one of those very jumpy compositions. And the question is, will that work on defense, or will Backbone just dance around them? That's a bomb. They're trying to do it. That actually got eaten by Hazix there. Beautifully done. And now Mayday with a double kill onto the entire healing line of Sheer Cold. So right now at Astra Aspera in a good position to push this all the way back.
Yeah, and I mean, you know how it works, right? You know, with the tanks, just don't feed them sometimes, especially Diva players, because, you know, I've been doing it. I sometimes just say, like, you know what, I will just eat less or, like, not at all in this period of the day, because I'll feel more energetic, I'll feel more hungry, I'm more, like, ready to attack everything, and Hazak shows it, just eats the pulse bomb. Needs to be fed more, he's hungry, gets them all.
We'll see what's going to run on this setup as Shade moves in, takes on to Timo, immediately goes down afterwards because Skyle was in the sightlines there. Good stuck onto Backbone. The Tracer versus Tracer battle definitely lost, but immediately goes down to Grafton, who was able to just clear it out before Eli stopped them in their track. This is rather equal in terms of the way that these kills are going up and down. Very good bubble control on the side of Alex, saving both himself and Shade from that Diva Bomb explosion. Moving straight up forward now is Shade. Takes Hazek down. Refit goes onto Hazek's mini Diva. Payload is still moving. 3 minutes and 14 seconds on the clock. So still more or less equal, but the action is not belying it. Sheer Cold are just able to push forward, even though at Astra Aspera are throwing mud at a wall.
Oh, the double kill support's gone, and the ultimate is definitely in favor of Sheer Cold anyways. This is going to be point B, Cat. There's no way they're going to go back within that without any healing.
It would be absolutely crazy if they would.
Suicidal, we call that. Yeah.
A beautiful bomb here by Backbone, and Backbone knows he's done something good, giving us a bit of a tour of that little bit of high ground. Now moving forward, Sheer Cold, we already see Alex in position to right-click everything over onto the long side. Over on the short side, Shade is leading Backbone and Refit around that corner, but they are getting pushed back for a little bit. It is a lot of damage flying all the way around. Grathan going down, is able to put the Bob down though. Timo, nice double kill, but the Bob will be a bit of an issue as it slowly inches and moves forward, this payload. Now at Astra Aspera, looking for more targets in Alex, who is able to bubble himself away until Skyle jumps in and actually gets the kill. 3 minutes and 30 on the clock, and this is a very good position for at Astra to hold this in. Good nom by Hazek indeed.
Yeah.
Backbone
and now
his...
it's the ultimates. Now we were waiting for a long time for Sheer Cold to really not be in an ultimate advantage anymore. And now finally at Astra, they got their ultimates online. They do lose Kyle early here, but they have that respawn advantage. They have that ability to get in back in quickly because their mobility is higher. And now with all these ultimates, how long can they hold on? We saw how efficient they were on their attack. Can they keep that going on the defense? It's 3 minutes, still plenty of time for Sheer Cold to work with, but it can drain it quickly with a few good fights.
We'll see how things are going as Shade is up on the high ground, fighting Hazek and Timo yet again. Timo jumping in on the entire healing line right there. Not entirely sure what they were trying to do, but there's the Primal Rage. Now moving in, disrupting the setup that Sheer Colt was desperately trying to make happen. Mayday and Skyle already find their targets at Astra Aspera on the attack, looking for some damage here. Skyle looking for more targets, but it is Backbone who is able to take Levitate down, and Skyle has to pull back towards Hazek. He is just using the reset button to get a new mag and to make sure that they are still around to stop this payload from moving further, but Shade immediately stops those though.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen there. You use 6 ultimates in that fight and you get like 2 or 3 kills out of them. That is not enough value. And the problem is you try to use all these open space dive ultimates in this tiny corridor up on the checkpoint. There you gotta come in with only a pulse bomb.
We'll see what's going to happen as the EMP comes out. Skylar Hazek and Mayday are all 3 affected. There's a good anti-nade that kills Levitate outright. The whole hog is just making something happen for Shade as they push back the entirety of Astra Aspera. Sheer Cold want that point, want to make that happen, and want to have that timer advantage. 1 minute and 32 seconds on the clock. Mayday still in the background. Levitate already back on the point. It is Eli on the Doomfist who finds Alex on the sideline, but Backbone is actually mirroring it out and gets Eli down. Shade with another double kill. Now Hazarks trying to make something happen, trying to extend it. Skull coming in from the sideline, also trying to get it done. Grathan goes in there with the Death Blossom, and Grathan and Backbone make sure that the point is capped onto round 2. So there's a minute and let's say 20 seconds time difference right there. Actually a bit more. As we go into round 3, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, 55 seconds is not a whole lot of difference that you want to see. So it's really all about who can get that momentum going for the longest. If you start on point A, you're going to be in overtime by the time you get to the first point. At least at Astar would be. Sheer Cold could just push on through with 155 and just be in overtime when they hit streets. But you're not going to get to third before you hit overtime. It's just going to be a race to who gets the furthest, and that 55 seconds difference is essentially one fight you can lose for free while you still have the time bank. And both these teams not really looking like that's going to be a problem. They both of them actually walked on through street space early until they got into street space quite easily, and it was really onto third where they found some issues, or up until the second checkpoint itself. So far, not much changing from either team. Not quite sure if I'm happy with that. I think on the attack, the Zenyatta definitely worked, so I want to see more of that, but we'll see if they stick within their defense.
We will see, and while you have the time to actually fit a little bit of, or fiddle a little bit with that robot voice, if you're trying to make that happen, terribly sorry about that little bit of delay here on the chat. I will try and walk us through round 3 as it is moving forward. At Astra, Aspera once again on the attack, looking to make sure that this time difference will not actually be to their detriment. They have 40 seconds as they're around the first corner, moving towards that choke point. We do see Alex and Backbone, both of them ready to have some backline and high ground dominance. Backbone versus Skyle. Skyle looking over, but has to pull back as Backbone comes over and tries to make something, tries to make that first play. But it is actually Hazex who gets looser down. Refit falling down as well. And Astra Aspera are able to keep it together as Levitate gets Mayday back up and back into the game. But Hazex goes down on the sideline in that Roadhog versus Roadhog duel. The payload is still moving, and Skyle now looking for targets. We're riding with them, but they are aware of the fact that Backbone is somewhere around there, just waiting for an opportunity. And now Backbone moving forward. Grafton, double kill onto Mayday and Levitate. Beautifully played, straight out and straight away. And they're looking for more. That was just gorgeously played as Backbone is actually able to stick onto Hazex. The overtime wing going down, and that was great execution by Sheer Cold here. Sheer Cold was able to use the quality of their DPS players and use the fact that you don't really know where they're coming from to their absolute advantage, and are just able to set a tone. Now, for the flip, we'll see if that will work the other way around.
Now, of course, I think I tried fixing something. Not quite hearing myself.
Yeah, no, it did not. You are unfortunately not fully with us.
It's a Junkertown special, I'm telling you.
If Junkertown was under sea level, we would be in Waterworld. Kevin Costner would be on screen, and, well, you would be sounding like that all the time. I'm looking forward to the mashup of that. So, you know, if our content creators can make that happen for me, I'd be a happy caster right now. 1 minute and 55 are on the clock for Sheer Cold on their attack side. We see an interesting combination as Teemo is actually getting on the Reinhardt. I'm most likely expecting them to try and make something happen very far forward, making sure that there is no that every inch has to be fought over. We'll see what's going to happen as the gates will be opening in just 3 seconds.
1. Attackers incoming. Stop.
Now moving in. Shade already walled off, in trouble, goes down early as Teemo and the rest of the team are jumping in, and they're going full stall tactics on at Astra Aspera right now. Teemo fire striking it in, but Skyle is the one who is going down. Gratham now on the Farah, takes down Levitate. So right now this set piece battle that at Astra has wanted to actually force out is looking more and more dire. But that payload still not moving out as Sheer Cold do get their picks, but do not really get a lot of time over on that payload. Backbone finds it out for a little bit onto Hazex's robot, and now the payload for the first time free. 1 minute on the clock. But that means that at least one more fight can be forced by at Astra Aspera before they even round the corner towards the final point.
Definitely the case, and let's see if this one is all back where we're supposed to be. Huh?
Well,
weird face from Ollie.
You do get a weird face because it is no longer a robot voice you're working with. Now it sounds like you are just out in the open in a concert hall or something like that. So it's interesting to see how to fix that. In the meantime, though, Grafton is just keeping the entirety of Astra Aspera locked in that little room. But on the other side, we do see that Sheer Cold do not really want to go inside of that room because there is a lot of kill potential waiting in enclosed space. Now Grassroots though has that barrage, goes in there, gets Eli and Mayday, goes down at the end of the day, but that is enough time for Backbone and the rest of Sheer Cold to just stop it outright. 5 seconds on the clock. The payload needs to be moving as Hazix is finally going down. The payload now once again in the movement, and the overtime wake is running. It is a little bit over 20 meters to go for them, and now Astra Aspera should actually jump back in, try to extend this, and maybe try to win this out. Moving in is Timo on that Reinhardt, trying to make something happen. Astra once again in full force, trying to make this go away. Grassen onto Skyle. Skyle already going down. So one person down for Astra at this point. Overtime week still running for full. But Backbone finds Levitate on the sideline. Now goes on with the Meteor Strike. The rest of the team just gets pushed back. And this is a full C9. That was beautifully played. Astra Aspera C9 it out and take this point. And you missed all of it. That's just man of class.
I didn't. I was watching. I was here. No, you're wrong. I was watching that.
That was some crazy play right there. If you were watching that, you can explain to me maybe what was happening.
I mean, it's just they go for less CC heroes because they have to come back, right? And then it's just out. But you know what, Ollie? I mean, I saw what happened, but apparently no one can understand what I'm saying anyways. So, it's all good.
It's all good. It's all good. So next up, we are going to be moving up to Temple of Anubis. Temple of Anubis, one of those maps, as most of you know, a lot of people don't like it. I personally love it. I love 2CP maps because it shows you the full aggression and the full defensive potential of each team individually without it being a flow of battle. It is just running forward and trying to break that defense, and on the defensive side just trying to weather that tide. And the only difference right there is what you do with the time given to you. So that is why I like it very much. Sheer Cold, absolutely in a way of being a good defender on this setup, but Astra Aspera as the aggressive team, as a team that is so good at just jumping on these occasions. I'm looking forward to this match, and I think all of you should be too. Right. Before we do... Hey, and we are back. Sorry about that, but we had a little bit of a goblin in our monkey machine. Terribly sorry about that. You are still watching one of the greatest series we have seen so far in this series of the Contenders Trials for Europe. Middle East and Africa. I'm still the other announcer. With me and fully with me yet again is the man of class, and we are looking forward to jumping into Temple of Anubis anytime soon. I've already given you a little bit of an overview, but man of class, what's up?
Look, these teams are in a 1-1 series right now. It was not really that close on Busan, but on Junkertown, they really went toe-to-toe, and only by the skin of their teeth were they able to push sheer cold off of the payload. So at Astra Aspera, now they're trying to make this comeback thing. They're trying to make this whole, situation happen where they potentially could cause what many would consider an upset against sheer cold. And Temple of Anubis is another map where you could see that going. You could see it very close. You might even see a draw. And reminder, first of 3 series, that means that even if they draw this map, we still need another 2. So we're gonna see at least 2 more maps, including this one, but maybe even more. And right now, Temple of Anubis start on the defense again for sheer cold. Aspera gonna come out on the attack in a little bit. Right now, we're looking at Grathen once again on the Ash, Backbone on the Tracer, and Shade not on the Roadhog, this time on the Winston.
Oh, and what's the thought process behind that one? Because Shade has been
high grounds?
Yeah, no. Shade has been a fantastic Roadhog, actually able to do high ground control on Junkertown just by merit of his hooks, obviously. So this is, to me, a bit of a surprise.
I think a lot of it has to do with the way you have to peel for your supports here and there on a map like this. The 2 high grounds you have here, and for your Ashe potentially as well, are so much more accessible to a Winston than they are to a Roadhog. And even with the hooks, because they're so high, it's sometimes hard to find that angle. You often get that hook broken, so it's not at all weird to me. But you will see that because they have all the Winston, they can't really go for this chokehold. They have to hold a bit further back, and only really Backbone and Grathen can get a lot of value early on.
That's right, Skyle already has to pull back a little bit as they are fighting Backbone. Backbone coming in from the back end there as Timo is trying to give his team an approach all the way over to the point, but it is risky staying in that little room for too long because you do see movement from sheer cold to just face the envelopment.
Yeah, Skyle just gets that first kill on the Grathen there. It's a good start. It means that Ashe is gone, and they're already trying to chase down the Mercy. They do lose Mayday on the other side.
They do, and that is a big loss. Losing your basically main support this early during this first fight, during the fight on the point, is terrifying when it goes wrong. But it does seem like sheer cold are just giving it to them. So at Aspera have the opportunity to move forward.
I mean, that lost both Backbone and Grathen. That's a lot of damage gone. And now we see Grathen go over to the Reaper. They don't want to get dove anymore. They know this hyper dive. They've seen it now for more than a map. And Skyle and Eli, Timo, Hazox, yes, they can still work against the Reaper, but it's going to be so much harder than it is against an Ashe.
See how things are progressing straight away now. Backbone moving in with a little bit of a setup, firing in the bomb. Is unable to actually check it out. Skyle onto Grathen with a double kill onto Shade. He is able to hit the bomb, and now at Aspera in a good position. But Rapid comes in here, actually reses up Shade, so the contest is still running. First side already set up, and this could be a long fight depending on how sheer cold are wanting to play this.
They're really trying to drag some ultimates out of sheer cold here, but Aspera is going to retreat, not going to give them any more ult charge than they already have. It will really only be the tank ultimates. Grathen only getting up to 50% there, and they still have so much to work with, especially that EMP. It's going to be huge. If they can combo that nicely with that, potentially with that self-destruct, they can get so much done. And then Timo and Levitate are just there for the extra health, the extra support, the extra CC to get everyone out of the way. Grathen, not as much of a threat to a Primal Raging Winston.
In on the side is the EMP. Alex and Luther both are just barely affected, but definitely our Alex goes down. Maybe on the other side is hacked as well. There's a sound barrier coming out from Levitate, so they really want it. They're just throwing everything into this fight. Hazik firing in the Diva bomb, trying to make sure that at least the left side of the fight will be clear for now. The capture almost real as Eli finds Grathon on the side on that Reaper. Eli goes on to get Refit. Lucer going down just as well, but Shade and Alex valiantly fighting it back in, still fighting on the point. Grathon coming back in and is taking down Timo, but Eli and Mayday make sure that this is over. 3 minutes 38 and run 1 is complete, and you do see the aggression coming out of Ad Astra here.
And that is a prime example of information gathering working to their advantage. Astra Aspera knows that those tanks have their ultimates. They go straight for Alex, don't want to get grabbed. That's one of the biggest tools that Sheer Cold has to defend with. And that EMP just makes for the immediate deletion of that Zarya. Then afterwards, there's more heroes that have their abilities gone. You can see that complete CC capability that Timo then portrays to just keep that right spawn door completely occupied. That Graviton gets no value, and the rest of the DPS have all the space to clean up everything that's on the point together with their Diva. So very well done from Ad Astra, and Sheer Cold honestly was just, they couldn't come back from that. It was just too powerful of a move.
Now at Astra Aspera moving out of the gate with a new setup. Mayday on the Ana and Levitate once again on that Brigitte. Now it did go wrong for them on control point when they tried doing that, but with a couple of more corners to cut here for Levitate, this might actually work out fine. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this works.
Yeah, so far Ad Astra, of course, feeling very confident about this map, and rightfully so. And now Levitate back on that Brigitte. I mean, you know, that's we've talked about it before. Is that Levitate on the Brigitte, you know, is actually going to get that much value as it is. But yeah, I mean, it's Anubis. It's a very different map. That high ground brings you way much more control, and there will be a slightly more forward hold here from Ad Astra with that same composition.
Now the forward hold is something Ad Astra have been doing basically this entire series, so I'm looking forward to see whether or not, you know, an A point with so many nooks and crannies can actually make that work fully. Now Backbone on that Genji goes in from behind, already looking for that healer backline and looking to make something happen moving forward slowly. A Shade and Alex have to get, or they are being pushed back a little bit, have to get themselves a bit to safety. Shade though is able to hook Levitate out, so one of the healers already going down for Ad Astra Aspera, and while they both are just skirmishing, I'm looking forward to your actual fight.
Yeah, I mean, fights are always what it's all about, right? Just a little bit of poke is not what gets you kills, but Grathon disagrees and gets Skyalt. There's the nano boost.
Wow, Grathon and Alex make something happen. That was beautifully set up. Backbone immediately jumps in and clears Timo, and Hazek's out there with the help of Shade, of course. The capture is real. It is a tiny tad slower than their counterparts were, but it's still a very valiant attack.
And remember, Ad Astra actually lost that first fight on their point B attack, so if you can just replicate that result but win that first fight, you're up 2 minutes in time bank right now. You might be up in a full minute, but at least they're going to have the ultimates to work with. But so what, Ad Astra? That EMP of Eli really needs to come online soon, because they just already used their graph and got nothing out of that.
We'll see how things are going to progress as they are moving towards the gate here. Sheer Cold looking to crack this open. Shade already moving forward, has the rest of their team, or at least a big chunk of the rest of their team, in that side room. But Timo has seen what is on the wall, jumps in on the back line and tries to actually get some disruption going. Sile though with a nice bomb onto Rapid, and that is opening up the defense here for Ad Astra Aspera. The Monkey is angry, jumping around. Timo has that Primal Rage firing in it onto Grathon and is looking for some more targets. Finds Lucer on the sideline. Hazix is there, of course, as a backup for him. And Ad Astra clear the road. 4 minutes and 30 still going.
Sheer Cold realizing that fight was lost fairly quickly, so Backbone, Shade, Alex, Refit, even Lucer, they'll all have their ultimates for the next one. And you really only have that EMP and that Graviton to work with. Eli can hit a very big one, denying the value or follow-up on a lot of these ultimates, or even them coming out in the first place. But they have to make that first move. They cannot use it reactively in a lot of situations. Otherwise, they will just get overwhelmed by this bank of Sheer Cold.
Yeah, Sheer Cold have everything ready, and if they decide to press the button, it is up to Astra to weather that tide. It is going to be tough. It is going to be hard, especially with Backbone's Genji Blade up there as well. Now 5 ultimates on the clock, and they're going in. Backbone with the Nano Blade, trying to immediately go for Teemo. There's a whole hog actually pushing him away from it, and now in the Graviton surge, it is Refed and Lucer. Backbone going down there as well, and Astra per Aspera pulling it back on the back of Hazix's brilliant Graviton surge, and that was beautifully played.
Oh, and Backbone is gonna be so angry. He's like, I got the Nano Blade, let's go. Gonna kill some people. And then at this exact same time as they pull that out, Eli goes for the EMP. They know that Backbone needs a little bit of follow-up to actually get that value out of that Nano Blade. And because everyone else is hacked, gets grabbed, gets pulsed after that, there's nothing... There's no targets. There's nothing that Backbone can go for, and they just go into the grab and accept their fate.
Well, the biggest thing that I can imagine is when you try to get Teemo out of the fight, you jump in there with the Nano Blade, and the whole hog blasts him away from you. That's gotta hurt, man. But we'll see what's happening as Eli finds Backbone on the sideline. The capture is going down for a little bit of a start. Rathan finds Hazix there, but immediately goes down to Teemo. Teemo, once again, with another Primal Rage, is able to clear the playing field out pretty decently, getting that big issue, that Reaper, out of the equation quite immediately as the Coalescence is firing in. And Levitate gets hacked on the sideline. This could potentially be a bit of an issue right now, as at Astra have to play it cool, have to pull it back. That's a good EMP though, firing in from Eli, and now at Astra Perispera moving it in yet again. Teemo with another Primal Rage in the same fight. At the end of the day, goes down to the whole hog as Shade and Grathan find their targets. Backbone coming up to Hazix on the other side, and this is a massive cluster fight right there. Beautifully played. Eli trying to jump in, but that is it.
152 was still a minute and a half difference though. That's quite a bit to work against, especially when you consider both teams had trouble on B, not so much on A, but on B, and not capping that second checkpoint in 2 minutes. I don't think that Sheer Cold made that pay. They didn't at all, but there's actually a possibility that Astra could make that, because they actually have more time than they had to use last time to get that second checkpoint. If they make the same pace, do it in the same way, there is a good chance that Astra can do another double cap, but first Sheer Cold has to try. Sheer Cold has to maybe find a different approach for B, but I think Sheer Cold's main issue wasn't the attack, it was mostly on that defense. So as long as they just get a good attack off right now, as long as they manage to, I mean, of course they would love to cap both points, even with time left, but at least cap both points. Yeah. But the most improvement they can make is on their defense, where they just got overwhelmed by that hyper dive that just keeps on working for the side of Astra, who have now gone on a Doomfist defense with Eli. No more Sombra, which I think they started with last time. Yeah. Levitate is still on that Brigitte, which was doing work, but it's still a very close hold that Astra is doing, which is a very different style than Sheer Cold played, and it has been broken last time.
It has been. I'm wondering though, Eli on that Doomfist, good or bad pick?
I mean, if you get that first pick off consistently, then Doomfist is always good, right? So it's really how much can you CC this enemy away. And Shade's now back on the Roadhog as well. The Mei is out. So they're sort of trying to play more anti-dive now on Sheer Cold's side. But is that really going to work against a team that never gets that close to you? Aside from the burst, you know?
Aside from the burst, exactly. But what you can do, of course, is at least limit their approaches, limit their sightlines, if you so will. Team already going down as Alex was able to get him out of commission with the help of both of his healers, actually. Beautifully done. Shade gets Mayday on the sideline, and this time Sheer Cold are going in hard, going in tough, and it does look like this slow and deliberate setup that they are planning to do is working. They are basically just slowing the tempo that Astra was forcing onto them until now.
I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but what was Mayday doing there? Mayday was in the first person choke. Like, I get that you needed to get an angle on Teemo maybe, but as an Ana, you're just going to get caught there. You don't have an escape there, and as soon as Teemo goes down, your easy cleanup is exactly what happened. Now, you can see point B, no ultimates quite online. Hazok is fairly close with Skyle, Grathen, and Loser as well, but it's not a whole bank for anybody to work with. And actually at Astra looking pretty good on those. A little better than Sheer Cold, if I must say.
Grathen has the nano on him, gets spooked by Eli for a second. There's the Bob, actually gets stopped by the May wall. I'm not entirely sure whether or not this was planned to stop the Bob over there just to park him, or whether or not that was a bit of miscommunication, but it seemed to be working. Grathen with a nice shot, but immediately gets blown up at the same time. That interaction was beautiful. Now Black Backbone trying to get some right clicks in, trying to move the rest of their team further inwards. That is the Graviton Surge, but the defense of that May wall is just a lifesaver right now. So the Graviton Surge didn't have the same effect that it had last time around. Grathen finds Levitate on the sideline straight away as Eli goes up onto Shade. So there's the Doomfist showing the first time that he has some teeth left. Meteor Strike onto Lusa with a double kill, and that is it. Round 3 is completed, and that was not even touching second point, but the attack was ferocious.
I couldn't quite make it to point B to really get some percentage going, but first point picked up is already some extra pressure that Astra has to go through. Not a lot of pressure they're sad dealing with. Last time around what Astra did, they got the first point, and in the second point they got their first tick even. They at least got some percentage going. So if everything goes the exact same way as it did last time, which so far it has, you know, they got the first point easy, and then the second point they lose that first fight, then Astra actually looks at a pretty good spot to win this map. They have a very clear win condition. They have a fairly good amount of time on the bank, and you know, they're still in the driver's seat. It still feels like Sheer Cold are the ones that have to adapt to this hyper dive. They have to adapt to this play style that Astra has adopted that just isn't quite what they're maybe used to. Shade and Alex will start on that Roadhog Zarya straight away, and Backbone and Grathen on the Reaper and the Ashe. And I think the Reaper was definitely a tool that was working very well for Sheer Cold. Reaper can deny so much of what especially Winston wants to do, and it's going to be so important that especially Hazox and Eli, maybe even Skyle, are able to deal with that Reaper coming onto Teemo. Levitate can maybe do some boops, but it's really all about Teemo not getting caught and about the rest of the team helping with that. So yeah, that's really where this is going to be about. How much can Backbone and Shade do?
I must say, I find it interesting that we have seen so many mirror matchups in the last couple of days, and this is the first time that teams actively try and counterpick their compositions, just because both of these teams' play styles are just so vastly different from one another. Now moving in at Astra Aspera, once again going via that high ground room.
Nice anti-nade though from Lucer. I mean, they can't really follow up on it because of the movement speed, but still, nice anti-nades. Lucer has been hitting some big ones. So has Mayday though. Mayday's definitely been on board as well. Don't talk about flex supports enough sometimes.
No, that's right. Teemo now moving in, has some very low enemies over there. Lucer already going down. Shade has to take a breather just to try and keep themselves alive for a little bit, but still, it is already at Astra moving up towards the first tick, and only now do you see Shade jumping down. Backbone moving in onto Teemo as well, as Shade and Backbone try to deal with the big monkey. Skyle a little bit further back, but gets shot by Grathen, and actually from the side. I think Grathen was going all the way behind there and actually makes it out, and that is impressive. Looking at an Ashe just going on a complete tangent.
Levitate dies a bit late, but still 2 minutes 15 to go. You already picked up 2 ticks. To get another attack like that, you just get point A and can stroll on through the second checkpoint. But Sheer Cold looking good with their ultimate bank so far. Backbone and Shade have definitely been disabling Teemo very well so far, and yeah, I mean, Skyle did a good job of trying to distract some of the DPS, like Grathan, especially in the backline, but wasn't quite finding any kills there.
Wasn't finding anything. Pulse bomb is not hitting. Shade goes and gets Skyle down. 1 minute and 40 on the clock. And right now at Astra Aspera, even though they consistently, whenever they get for a grouped up attack, get a nice tick out of it, they need to step it up now.
Yeah, at Astra looking to maybe even get held here, but still 1 minute 20 left. The ultimates are starting to come online a bit more again. They need to drag some out of sheer cold though. It doesn't seem realistic they're going to win this with this ultimate difference.
See how they're going about it. The contest is there. Eli with the EMP. That was a tad late, almost going down there, but it is still a huge EMP as Luther already goes down there. Timo is jumping in and trying to make something happen. Just a tiny bit of a late response from at Astra Aspera on that. And that means that Grathan and Shade get the freedom to once again move freely about. It is 50 seconds on the clock, and at Astra still have 1 tick to go, and then some.
And they used so much. I mean, they used the EMP, self-destruct, coalescent, like everything was coming out there. And yes, you get that pulse bomb back really quickly, but all these other ultimates you're gonna be missing for a while. So you're going to this fight, still an ultimate disadvantage. You've really got no progress.
Now moving it in, the whole Hawk and the Graviton Surge are both up. Alex and Grathan do the Lord's work there together with the help of course, Shade's whole Hawk. And this is not looking good for Ad Astra. They are basically giving it away. I mean, it could be karma for the Junkertown win they were able to snag, but still, this is not looking good for them.
They're going to get one more very quick attack. Nice sound barrier to start that off. It at least gives them a fairly free entry, but Timo under pressure straight away.
That's right. It is 2 people up on the point. The overtime week is already running. Backbone in trouble as Azek comes in this time on the ball. Alex on the side up to levitate. The overtime week still running. Grathan double kill. Bob is out there as well. Alex and Rapid find their targets as well. And this is cleanup duty as Alex and Luther find the last couple of targets. And it is at Astra Aspera going down to sheer cold in this one. This Temple of Anubis. Crazy.
2-1 in the series. Sheer Cold taking that lead. That was looking dire for them, though. It's been close all series, but that didn't look that close, that second attack of Ad Astra. They were completely being dominated, and a lot of that is just, I mean, Ad Astra goes in with ultimates when they basically should know that they're very far down in ultimates, and somehow still, you know, they throw the EMP, the self-destruct, all these ultimates that they're never going to win a fight with at that stage. And Sheer Cold just has way too much left in the bank for that fight and the fight after and the fight after. They never run out. So at Astra, I was praising their ult economy and their value before, but they really weren't paying attention to it as much there. They thought it was winnable when it really wasn't. And when you look at that, you know, that can sometimes make a big difference. Well, a lot of times, Overwatch, ultimates matter.
Everything matters, and it is mostly a timing issue, I feel. We have seen that like I said in that last fight, the EMP comes out, and the rest of Ad Astra are so far away, they cannot capitalize on it. There is the only one who is able to jump forward. There is Timo. Timo jumps in, finds at least Lucer, but then goes down to 3 people, and the entire momentum flips towards the side of Sheer Cold at that point. That was, I think, the biggest quote-unquote mistake that has been made in that last round.
100%. And now that we're going to be seeing Eichenwalde come up next, Sheer Cold looked very good on this yesterday. They had, well, yesterday was Monday, actually. I'm sorry. I guess Obey Alliance, where they just were not able to get Grathan and Refit at all. That was like that focus, right? They tried to go on Looser and then on the Mercy and the Ash a lot of the time, and couldn't really come on top of that. But what I'm most excited for is that we might see some Pharah come out. I know that Grathan said it wasn't really in their playbook anymore. They had to reevaluate of how they used that a few times, but it's something we can potentially look forward to. It's no side swaps coming out here again at Astra, having to attack first. And so far, they've been setting good examples, good pace for Sheer Cold to try and catch up on. And it's all about Sheer Cold's potential to just do the same. Every single time they get that counter, they match or almost beat that time. And Sheer Cold is just good at coming back from maybe a time bank deficit sometimes. So To see Grathan indeed go on the fire on the defense here, the pharmacy is coming out. Last time, they were sniped out of the sky, or slept out of the sky as soon as they come out, the spawn doors open. Let's see if... it does look like there's going to be an Ana, but if Mayday's on the Ana, maybe they can do the same thing. I think that was a very cool one to see. But you know what? We're going to be seeing some Eichenwalde.
Remember
one of my favorite maps.
Remember the difference, though. Obey Alliance gave Grathan basically full run of whatever they were doing, right? Grathan was not contested at all during that entire series. Whilst here, Eli and Skyle have been on him like a hawk, both of them, and that is a difference that you immediately see. So the Far Mercy, while it has been effective on Monday, I do not see it happen this time around, but I could be proven wrong. We'll see how it goes on.
I mean, it was effective to a degree, right? Like, there was still some value missing here and there. We will see with the hyper dive once again going in there straight on. Grathan kills themselves, which is never great, and they just jump into the hut.
Exactly. Probably Hazox was up on Grathan. Levitate already finds Shade on the side. No more tankage on the side of Shade to come in. Alex is able to get Skyle out. The payload has already been capped there. That means basically what Astra have been doing is just push Sheer Cold into a corner and casually take point A.
Yeah, we talk about a easy point A cap, really. I mean, you get that Farad to just kill herself, probably shot against the Mac of Hazox, and then you see Shade just going down straight after. It's almost all your damage gone. You do Backbone and Alex still there, but it's not the same as what they have on the other side. Timo is slept here. Probably be fine, actually. There's a Reaper on top of him. Maybe not.
Maybe not. Most likely not. Shade and Grathan are there to help Backbone on that Reaper out by getting that Timo out. So at Astra Aspera have been a little bit, well, driven apart, and then you can just see that on the kill count.
Yeah, so far, Backbone, I think the Reaper has really been that answer that they've been looking for. Timo just doesn't get to play the game at this point. Gets slept, gets hooked, gets shotgunned in the face by two different heroes, and then even Grathan helps out. And of course, if you have Winston that's so trying to spearhead this dive, that's a good thing to do. Just disable the Winston all the time.
No, that's right. On the other side, when Eli is there to shut down Backbone, then it is easy pickings for them, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. Hazox on that Diva, I think, is a way bigger gamble at the end of the day. I mean, yes, you need something to jump or to dive together with Timo, but you are basically counter-picking yourself into Shade and Alex there.
Yeah, so far, it's maybe looking like there might be a swap needed from Astra, but they still believe they can do this. Of course, it was still very close on the past two maps. One they won, one they lost. So it's not necessary that they should swap. Definitely not, but it's a consideration you can make. Eli with the EMP now, of course, they're going to use that first with all the other ultimates they have coming online. But there's already a grab from Alex.
That is, and it is a huge grab. There it is. The whole hog fires into three people, and the whole hog is the one barbecuing everyone else this time around.
Such a combo, such a deadly combo too. Backbone, I think you've used a Death Blossom somewhere in there. I mean, they don't have their ultimate charge anymore, so I guess they would have. But now it's time for the ultimates of Astra. That finally they can go in and actually use those of their own. They need to find some value with them. And so far they've been having trouble actually approaching this high ground. They're now setting up for it with the speed boost. They're going to go around on the other side of the bridge. Hazox does get hooked. Hazox is fine.
That's true. If you want to hook something, don't hook the Diva. The Diva bomb actually going up there on top. Eli still has that EMP, is low though, has to pull back. Timo up on the payload. They have decided that they want to force the fight to somewhere where that EMP will actually have some impact rather than being all the way around the place. Now the EMP has been set up. Backbone and Alex both go down on the back of that. The Valkyrie on Refit's side is out, but he also gets hacked out. So it's Hazox and Timo finding their targets. The payload still moving, but the bomb is there, just forcing back at Astra Aspera for a little bit. Scarlet Levitate find their targets, and now should be the time where this is going to the wire, and that's exactly what Shade is hoping for. He swapped over to the monkey, moved it straight in. Skyle gets on onto Shade. Eli goes down on the other side of it, and now Hazix out of the mech, and Aspera still trying to remain in the driver's seat. Mayday! Make sure that they are with the laser guided missiles there. That's a triple kill on the Coalescence, and that is point B cap. 3 minutes 28 on the clock, and we are not done.
We might actually see a Moira play of the game for that one, Ollie. That would be something. I mean, we don't get to see it, but we might see it. It will be, though, the entrance to the castle for Astra Aspera. You see immediately the entire dive composition. Nah, we ain't doing that anymore. Mayday goes to the Ana, Skyle and Eli to the McCree, and the May and Timo goes to the Reinhardt. They will keep on the Hazux because, of course, still Matrix very valuable and they're close to the bomb. But it is a complete reset in what they want to do as aside from that.
Yeah, that's right. Now going into a more deliberate slow push. There's the May wall, and now they're all moving up onto Shade. And Shade is in trouble. Backbone on the other side, though, finds Skull. Shade turns around, finds Levitate on the side. And that is beautifully counterplayed as Grathen goes into Mayday. And Sheer Cold now use that momentum to push back.
Yeah, Backbone and Grathen just got to feast on the spread out nature that Astra had. They tried to maybe all chase down that Roadhog, but they just got into a conga line. And immediately in the middle, Backbone was like, you know what, I'll jump in there. And then Grathen shoots from them while they're just walking past. They're going to be fine. They're just going to kill a few. And exactly what they did. Shade even got Levitate, because Levitate was essentially on their own anymore after they were frozen. After Shade was frozen. So easy hook, easy kill on the Lucio. And now Levitate goes over to the Mercy, Skyle to the Ash, Eli to the Sombra. Timo back on the Winston.
Look at Backbone's position there.
You know, yeah, sneaky.
Backbone just sneaking it about. Timo found him. Backbone has to pull back. It does have that Death Blossom, but did not want to fire it in without the element of surprise, or B, enough backup for the rest of them. Skyle has to get rest. The Diva Bomb going up on there, trying to clear that high ground now. There it is. The Death Blossom doesn't really find a lot of targets. Good bubble there from Alex, though, trying to keep them alive. Alex very close to dying. Bites the bullet at the end of the day. Timo finds him, and Rapid goes down. Skull finds Backbone on their sideline. Shade has to pull back. Has that whole hawk, though, so this fight is far from over unless Skull can find him, and that's exactly what's happening. This payload is moving forward, and it's moving fast, and Timo looking to clear the high ground yet again, looking to find in the sideline Backbone there. They are just fighting over on the other side, and this time, once again, Sheer Cold has the momentum flipped over. Lusa finds Timo, and that is at Astra just pulling back. 50 seconds on the clock there.
That Bob just does so much. They throw in that big omelet butler, immediately just damage boost them with Rapid, and there's nothing that Astra can do. They just run away, spread out, and get taken away. Like, there's just no answer to that right now, and that's it's just almost scary to see that has such a big impact.
Did you just say omelette butler?
No, Omnic.
Oh, Omnic Butler. Okay, no, that makes a lot more sense. The whole hawk is ready, and the Graviton Surge is keeping Timo out of the hair of Shade and the rest of Sheer Cold. And now the whole hawk is coming out. Sheer Cold firing it in. Shade is looking to make sure that this payload does not move. 10 seconds on the clock. Timo has the nano boost and is slow at the same time. So that means that Shade at the ultimately will win that fight. Backbone fires in. The Blade is looking to get Skyle out of commission, but it is Eli who finds another take. The overtime is still running. Hazix onto Rapid, and it looks as if Astra Aspera are not going to give it up. Grathen sleeping up on the high ground now is woken up. Eli coming in from behind. Haddock out of mech right away there, and now it is up to the remaining target. Eli still over around. Timo sleeping next to the payload, all the way alone in the entirety of Sheer Cold, and that is it. They can't complete round one.
And it makes sense, right, that Astra is not able to go completely through Eichenwalde. All game long, all series long, they've gone for this more dive, hyper dive-esque composition with the Winston, with the Diva, and as soon as you go to a map like Eichenwalde, where dive works on first, definitely also works on second, but on third you get sort of cramped in a little bit. It's like that King's Row effect where you just don't really have any place to dive to. Then Ad Astra's adaptability quickly shows that they're just not as practiced in other things. This is not the style they want to play. They were very unsure of how do we approach this, go for the Reinhardt and then McCree, and then they switch back over to like the Ashe and the Winston comes back in. It's like you see that attempt of maybe dealing with the fact that this map is so different from what they've been playing so far, at least that part of the map, and they just, can't.
Now, looking on the other side, it is now up to Sheer Cold to attack. Now, we've seen some deliberate, slow, and very well-composed attack setups from them before, but every time they tried that at Astra, Aspera were just too fast for them. Is that what is going to happen this time around as well?
It's possible. I mean, Grathlan starting on the Fire, but Backbone is back on that Reaper. And we saw how much Backbone and Shade just could do together to stop Teemo from doing anything, having any fun in this game, so to speak. So we'll see if that trend continues as Alex goes on to the Wrecking Ball.
Let's see, 3 minutes and 50 seconds on the clock. Now moving out is Sheer Cold. The Wrecking Ball already trying to find a venture of attack. Goes in on the sideline, has to press that shield in, as we can see from the kill feed. And now the rest of Sheer Cold moving in, trying to make something happen. All the way in the back is Grathlan on the Pharah, and they're just trying to clear that high ground. That's a very good position for a Pharah to be in.
So far, good positioning all around, but it is they're getting pushed into that little hut, which they did push Sheer Cold into themselves. All they need to do is not lose that position and lose that objective, but it doesn't look like that's going to be what's happening here.
That's right, Alex moving in deep there and making sure that Grathlan has all the room in the world to work. Shade does the same thing. Hazix gets Shade down at the end of the day. It is now 1 versus 4 on the point, and the only other one who is still there is Eli, is able to get Grathlan down, and now just trying to extend the overtime. The capture is already going at it. Second, third is done, and we should just be seeing the cap right now, unless at Astra decide to just waste as much of Sheer Cold's time as they can in this first set.
Looks like what the Reavers are doing, and they're still trading kills back and forth. And Nano Tracer, can they actually? Nope, they got hooked. They get taken out. That's 0.8 it picked up. And now we look at the difference in what these teams have been able to accrue over these fights. So Grathlan doesn't quite have that barrage yet. We'll actually swap over to the Ashe, because they know that Skyle's going to get the easy angles on them on that B point. They're not going to even try to run out with that. We're close to being close to a barrage. So Backbone and Shade and Lucer will be the ones heading up that old charge bank. And Hazux has been charging these Gravitons ridiculously fast. Every single time they're just beating the enemy tanks in any sort of old charge. Levitate goes down early, but still have that Graviton to work with if you want to.
No, that's right. If you always have to have a Teemo to bubble, whether he's on the ball or on the Winston, you will get your Gravitons very quickly. Shade gets something very quickly, though. It is Mayday. Once again, a bit out of position, gets caught out, and that means no more main healing on at Astra Aspera. Now the payload moving across from under the bridge. And remember, this is where at Astra's attack was stopped handily for a long time when they were on the attacking side.
Keep losing players early here. They kind of keep doing this. They find throw out the bomb. Maybe that will help them stop. They will still have 6v6 in that case. They're just losing members, Ollie.
They are, but Teemo gets rezzed up. Skyle has to pop in there. This time the Omelette Butler is there to help at Astra Aspera. Eli with a nice double on the bomb. No more healing on the side of Sheer Cold. And this time at Astra have time to set up for a defense of their own here near point B.
And it did take a while. I mean, Levitate died early to Shade, then Mayday dies early to Shade, so they kept on rolling, and even, Teemo dies early to Shade. So it did take a while for them to get things rolling, but those ultimates finally started happening. The hits did have to use an awful lot, though.
That's right, and Skyle is already charging up another bomb quite quickly, because Shade is just being roasted by that dynamite there. Mayday able to clear up the back cap. Oh, very, very close there. They were just trying to go at it. Alex once again on this, his favorite little bit of point, just trying to make something happen, but this time it was stopped on the other side, but Aspera, beautifully done. Hazix was there, so is Timo, and they are just making sure that it is not a backup that they're going to be expecting, but a very tough fight near the point.
Alex is still on point B, and Alex on point B can always push it in, and exactly what they're going to do. They run away. Hazux, stay on that point. Can't finish up that wrecking ball. Why do you run away? He's done this Monday. Why are you letting him do it again? Alex, point B. It's like, oh, there's so many weird things that happen, but this is the one. Alex on point B Eichenwalde just gets the job done without fail every time. Now goes over to the Zarya, but that wrecking ball just again wins them that objective.
I know you can't see me, but I am shaking my hat vigorously. I'm going to be whiplashed by tomorrow morning. I'm pretty sure my alt neck cannot handle this much furious head spinning. Now Hazix finds Lucer, this time on towards point 3. They have to hold it for 3 minutes, and after basically giving away point B, that has to be very, very hard on your mental.
It will, especially with Timo going on early. It's a good grab from Hazix, but Hazix has to do the damage here and doesn't quite get that done.
Yeah, Hazak trying to make something going there. Shade, make something going. Thank you. Make something happen there. Shade misses the hook on the side, goes forward, still inching that payload closer against the entirety of an Astra, while the rest of Sheer Cold is still reforming. Grafton fires onto Timo, gets them down. That was beautiful. And now Sheer Cold once again in the driver's seat, trying to get closer, get ever better and ever more time in that time bank. 2 minutes 20 on the clock, and it's looking good for Sheer Cold right now. There's a whole hog, and that means pushing back whatever the opposition may throw at you. Shade and Backbone get on their target, and this should be the cap for all intents and purposes, because Levitate is going down. Mayday trying to do it with a dirty little bit of Moira, but that's not going to happen. Sheer Cold take it onto Eichenwalde.
Sheer Cold 3-1 in the series. They were struggling a little bit on Anubis, and they lost that map of Route 66. But those maps they won, the other two, Eichenwalde and also, of course, Busan, looked very convincing for them. Sheer Cold, 100% a team that still proves that they're consistently very good. This still proves that they probably belong in Contenders. They're now 3-0 up in this group, so it's hard for them to really lose anymore. They still have to play against Dark Mode, is the other team that's in that group that has been doing so well. And I think their other opponent might be Samsung Morningstar. So they have a pretty tricky one, and Morningstar should be one they feel more confident about. But Sheer Cold, so far, not that fazed by a lot of what their opponents are throwing at them. And Eichenwalde just seems to be the map that they cannot lose on. Alex, point B, MVP once again. I will say, though, if you look at the performance of tanks today, Hazux, what a charge on that Zarya. I mean, I know you say yes, he gets all those bubbles on the Timo, and Timo just sort of suicidally jumps in, so you get a lot of charge, right? But you still need to charge that Graviton up. You still need to do all that damage. And Hazux just charges them ridiculously fast.
No, that is perfectly right, but I'm going to say on the tank line MVP, same team, different tank, Timo. For 2.5 maps, Sheer Cold were, I'm not going to say at a loss, but a little bit unsure how to deal with Timo, if they had to deal with Timo. And Timo proved time and time again that when it comes to making space, when it comes to making plays, he was there. So I think more impactful than Hazux.
You could say maybe, but I mean, all they had to do was switch to Reaper and it was fine. So
yes.
not quite sure if I want to give the EMP to that one. But you know what? It was a beautiful series. We saw a lot happen this time around. And at Aspera, I mean, they're looking like a very good team that just entered the scene as a unit. They were a bit absent. A few of them had some other teams that they went through, some breaks maybe. And now that they're properly back, they're properly showing what they can actually do. It's a very exciting new unit under that banner of Astra that we have known in the past, of course. So looking forward to seeing more of them. They still have, of course, 2 more matches to play this week. So be excited for that if you want to watch that. And of course, right now, though, it's going to be all up Sheer Cold 3-1 victory. And who did really well on their team? I mean, Alex on Eichenwalde. But other than that, I actually would say that Shade was doing a ridiculously good job with Loser.
Yep. No, definitely give you that one. So, in closing, at Astra Aspera need to have a little more, Aspera before they can reach their Astra, I'm afraid. So for now, we're going to throw it to a little bit of a break, and when we come back, it is the Ultimates taking on Shoes and Money Crew. So don't run anywhere, because when we return, we first have an interview, of course, and then the next match for tonight. And we are live back here, and we have just seen Sheer Cold beat Astra at Astra Aspera. Little less convincing than they did on Monday, but instrumental in both of these victories was their off-tank, Alex. Alex is with us. Hello, how are you today?
Doing all right. Series was closer than it had to be, but we won at least.
No, that's right. So let's immediately just address the elephant in the room. That back cap. What were you thinking? How did that happen?
So we had like issues taking space on the map, so I just felt like forcing the point will give us some space, and then I noticed that they were kind of late on contesting me, so I put mines as well, and like they struggled really hard to like deal with that.
Yeah. No, the best thing was after that little bit of a skirmish near the point two doors, right? They actually backed off and let you do it again. Did you expect that to happen, or did you just see the opening? How was that moment for you?
I mean, I was just looking for opportunities that they gave it, so then I went for it. I wasn't really expecting it at all.
Fair enough. I mean, hey, it's always a good day when you're just given 3 points. And of course, we were already straight away thinking back. We had flashbacks to Monday when you just, did the same thing as Obey. And, point B, Eichenwalde is just your thing, I guess. It's just how it be. Yeah, I mean, Ollie was arguing that, Timo was doing very well outside of Astra, and that you sort of didn't know how to deal with that. Was it simply your comms like, oh, let's just swap to Reaper and we'll be fine? Or like, how does that conversation go?
We struggled a bit today playing into the Lucia Mora life, as you can probably tell from how it went. Sure. And that was kind of like the emergency solution, I guess. we were not
Yeah.
like able to make our normal game playing work, so we just went over to picking the Reaper and dealing with it that way.
I mean, it worked, right? It's
Yeah.
you get the win. That's all you need sometimes. Is that something you're going to be looking forward to a little bit more now? It's like finding scrims or specific situations where you play against that Lucio Moyer dive?
I mean, many teams play it, so we definitely need to be able to deal with it. But most likely, we're going to be like changing up some of our comps that we're playing right now.
Okay. Keep it
Ye-
flexible. Keep them guessing. I like it.
Exactly. One more question about that flexibility. At some point, you had, I think Backbone on the May when you went into a Temple of Anubis
Yeah.
on the attacking side. What was the thought process there? Because at the end of the day, it didn't really work out. But I wanted to know, why did you do that in the first place?
So from the attack before, we knew that they were holding the left side mega pretty close with their composition. So we thought that May could like help us to isolate them if they tried to push into their mega, for example.
I would say that worked out very well, actually, because they got Timo early, and then Mayday was all out in the middle of nowhere on that Ana. So 100%, yeah, I would say that strat was fairly okay. But, you know, if there's anything you want to look back on today as like the highlight moments, probably going to be Eichenwalde B, but you have anything else?
No, that would be it, I think.
That would be the thing, yeah. I mean, it's understandable, you know. This it can't really go much worse. And any of the teammates that you really want to shout out that did a great job today?
I mean, I guess it has to go to Shade trying his monkey today, one without having like much practice on the late lane scrims, but he still did his best.
Absolutely great. Fantastic. Thank you so much for being with us here today, Alex. Good luck in the rest of the series. And we are, of course, looking forward to see what is going on. So while we are going to set up the next game for all of you viewers out there, we are going to show you a couple of the highlights from the from the last matches. So stick around, look at them, and we will be right back with you. We are back, we are live, we are alive, and we are looking at screens for the Ultimate versus Shoes Money Crew here on the Contenders Trials EMEA. My name is the Olimancer. With me is the man of class, and I am absolutely hyped to see both of these teams go toe-to-toe in the next, let's say, hour and a half. Man of class, talk us through the possibilities of this epic matchup.
So we're talking about a situation that's very similar to the last series we had. The Ultimates are up 2-0 currently in their trials week. Shoes Money Crew in a 1-1 situation. Of course, Shoes Money Crew wants to get that 2-1 and get the Ultimates down a peg, but it's not that simple all the time. So what's been happening in the downtime that both these teams had is that they had shakeups. Shoes Money Crew comes in with new tanks, Hades and Naru, but so does the Ultimates. They now have Henningsen and Busan, so the new off-tank. And they hadn't scrimmed and played with Busan before their match on Monday. We actually got that confirmed in our interview post-game. But now they've had some time to work with it. Who knows? Shoes Money Crew, though. Gotta talk about this team because they go through iterations every now and then. They get some new players and they change things up, but they're consistently playing at that, just in contenders or just out of contenders. They have that very consistent performance, a consistent position in the tier 2 scene, which is nice to have. It's nice to be known as that brand. It's a nice brand to have. I like the logo personally, but again, I talked about it before. We looked at Sheer Cold, where they need a bit of that boost, and I think SMC is in a very similar position. Yes, Fees, Psycho, Hades, Naru, Kumber, Sab, they're all experienced and very good players in their own right. I still remember Sab on the World Cup in 2018 just hits a massive sleep dart on a nano blading Genji, just runs away and is laughing in his fist. But it's these players have been places. Hades, we've seen do great things on their Reinhardt play. Now they probably won't have to play more things like Rodok and Winston. Psycho, I know you have a very big love for as just a caster. So Again, it's not a roster that doesn't have the capacity. It just has to show still. And now that they're in a 1-1 situation, this is a series that has to show it for them.
Well, this is the series where they just need to step it up against a team that has proven so strong as the Ultimates have over and over again with the kind of players that you have highlighted. Shoes Money Crew have all the tools in the toolbox to actually do that. However, the question is, how are they going to do that? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I mean, that's always a good question, right? Like, how are they going to do it? And until we actually get into the game, we don't really have an idea of what's going to happen. I mean, we can predict what these teams are good at and what they're trying to do. When we talk about the Ultimates, the big one on their roster has to be Busan. Currently isn't shown on their team roster. They're going to start him today instead of Antigone, but Busan has been that tank that just comes in, Overwatch League experience, World Cup experience, just the all complete package powerhouse, and just walks in there and cleans up everything they want to clean up. It's exactly what a tank like that does. So when you look at the Ultimates and their roster, it's not surprising that they're going to be able to just have Henningsen and Busan work in tandem. Chucky Milk, we had an interview with last week, already said, been on Busan on the team before. It's fine. We didn't really need to get that new synergy going. We already got that. Didn't even need to scrim for this one. So the Ultimates just have that caliber on their team as well that Shoes Money Crew has too, but it just seems that their coherence and just their general power level is a bit above it. And Shoes Money Crew is going to have to prove us differently.
Oh, Shoes Money Crew will most likely do so. I've seen some of their earlier works this week, and I must say I was impressed by the way that these guys have been using the momentum of the current meta, using the fact that it is very unforgiving, using the fact that if it's not about the picks like you said on Monday, it's about the complete collapse over multiple venues in the map. So what you see is a very spread out kind of way of playing this meta rather than the full 6-man death ball of doom. And if you can get your head around that you're basically playing 2-2-2 on multiple venues on each of these maps, then it could be very, very interesting.
Yeah, and of course we're going to be starting on Busan. That's just the first map that we have for today. And So far, these teams, in their spawn door, looking fairly similar. We know this map can sometimes play host to some Widowmaker play, but either of these teams think that that Widowmaker is just going to get dove, and with their hyper dive tease, it's going to be exactly what comes out of spawn. Psycho might be the one that throws the wrench into plans, but no, it's going to be the mirror matchup, Ollie.
It is the mirror matchup so far, and we do know both Psycho and Foki will be instrumental on this map, because you have these very, very aggressive players playing a very, very fast Tracer that we have seen be absolutely devastating if you let them. Good hack though onto Psycho there. Foki able to clear it out after Erky was there, just to make sure that they couldn't run away. Beautifully set up. Both of the teams still fighting for that first cap. The ultimates in a little bit of a disadvantage, at least in terms of pure hit points. Henningsen very low, but so are Sap and Kumba. They need to make sure on the side of Shoes Money Crew that their healers can survive it. So far, Foki looking for another target, gets hacked again, goes down again. Fees and Kumba finding their targets, and now the ultimate should actually have to let this go over to Shoes Money Crew.
They're not going to get away from this one. They're going to chase them back into spawn, get those kills, get that extra ult charge, get the extra percent that you got to get from those staggers. Very well done from Shoes Money Crew so far. The hacks from Fees have just been very good. Foki's gotten nothing done, and when you look at the ultimate charge between these two teams, you can tell exactly what's been going on.
Yeah, you can see a big advantage going over. Henningsen though is very close to their, how do you say, to their primal rage. Hades needs a little bit of that. There's a Diva bomb. Psycho with a good stick on the magic right now. Choose Money Crew looking pretty good so far. 40 seconds on the clock and 2 picks on their end. That is beautiful. Naru looking to get Henningsen on that rage out far away from their team as they can, actually confirming that kill at the end of the day. And SMC looking great on this first control point.
Yeah, so far Shoes Money Crew in no trouble whatsoever. They've just been cleaning up on the other side. And now we have no EMP, but Fees has got it online. How are you even going to get any value out of things like that self-destruct, the pulse bomb? Even the sound barrier can just be countered with a click of a button.
Now Hades jumps in, so Magic coming down on that setup, and this is just beautiful. Naru is hacked, but is still able to get some value just by firing it in. Primal Rage coming out of Hades, gets Foki on the sideline, 87, 88% on the clock, and Shoes Money Crew pressing very, very hard onto the ultimates. There's a Diva bomb flying out, doesn't really find a target.
No, it does not, and now Fees is still ready. The EMP is about to come out. There it... Oh, no, that's not quite there. They're going to go for the tank line, the back line, who they do want. They want Chucky Milk. Chucky Milk just doesn't want to press that button. There's the sound barrier. There's the EMP.
Yes, very good. Immediate counter on that. Just waiting it patiently out. Naru able to get a double kill out of that. Psycho on the sideline with a kill onto Foki in the Tracer battle. The overtime rig is already running, going down. No, actually still touching there for a second. Chucky Milton Erky. But at the end of the day, the first round goes over to Shoes Money Crew, and they are setting a tone here.
Yeah, they really are, and it's a dynamic between that Lucio and that Sombra that we were talking about for quite a while there, where you just have Chucky Milk has a sound barrier, knows that Fees has the EMP. All you have to do if you're Fees is wait. You have to just wait with your trap of Lego bricks, and as soon as Chucky Milk comes out with that sound barrier, you just throw them down. They trip over it, step on it, and like, ouch! Everything I just did is gone. I'm sorry.
Lego bricks?
That's just, you know, I don't know. I had to find something there, but I was going for like a vice with a stubby toe. That was a little bit of worse analogy. This is probably better, right? Not great.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll talk about it after stream, but it was okay.
Let's do that, yeah.
Exactly. Moving out, the ultimates already going up for that high ground. Naru in a very offensive position. They are trying to secure that high ground, and getting Foki down early will actually help you do that. Now moving up is Hades. Hades jumping up into the entire back line, has some nice healing, some nice backup from the rest of Shoes Money Crew, and that means they can take out Busan, and Erky goes down there as well. So Shoes Money Crew in a very good position. They're now jumping over to the point, cap it in, and let their opponent come to them.
Shoes Bunny Crew so far really impressing. They're just so far ahead in what they have to do with that dive. They keep on diving early, they keep on diving first, and they keep on finding these openings.
They are now Foki with a nice melee attack on the feast there. Psycho takes it off and is equalizing it out. But now the ultimate's coming in with a vengeance. There is the coalescence onto Hades going down. 22% on the clock, but the ultimate wants to get it back and want to get it back fast. So they are investing a lot of aggression and a lot of push into this.
Primal Rage ready for Henningsen. Just going to throw that out as well, but the percent is still ticking, and Hades also has the Primal Rage ready. So a lot of stalls still coming out from Shoes Bunny Crew.
Yeah, there's a sound barrier coming out for SMC, so that is proper, and that is something that you can use to stay away just that little bit longer. Naru gets Foki on the side. Shoes Money Crew still not done. There's the EMP coming out of Berkey, and this time the ultimates are actually investing a lot of ultimates this time to get that pressure all the way to where it belongs. Feast going down, so is Hades. The ultimate still not in control of the point though, because Naru is still there, is still dancing around with that mech, and there's the counter cap, but it's 67%. Actually, the cap is not there just yet. SMC are just stalling it out.
73% eventually they stall it to, in a situation where it looked for a while that they had lost the fight, that they maybe come back into the fight, and Shoes Bunny Crew just doesn't want to stop fighting if they can. Obviously, they get a percentage a lot higher with it, so no harm done there. And even the old situation still looking pretty decent. There's nothing really between these teams when it comes to that ult bank, and it's really SMC that just gets these early pickups of the Foki somehow.
That's right, Foki is very aggressive every single time. Good Diva Bomb flying in, but goes probably a little bit too far behind that shield. Psycho looking for an attack, finds Chalky Milk on the sideline, and now the contest is ready yet again. Henningsen jumping in with the Primal Rage, tries to make something happen there, but he is a tiny tad too late because the entirety of SMC had a very good position to hold up to that. Now Hades going down though, the coalescence coming out from Samajat, and they're trying to make it. Naru with a Diva Bomb onto Busan, and SMC still in the race right now. It is not over yet. This is a very skirmishy fight as Naru finds Henningsen. The capture now is over, but that was a long drawn out fight.
Yeah, it really was, and now with Shoes Bunny Crew is back in control, it's going to be last fight territory. We really need to cap this point back now if you are the ultimate, and you don't even have that much to work with, but that EMP could be instrumental. If you counter Fees and are able to throw out your EMP first, you will be able to get a good fight off, but it's all about that duel, which Sombra goes first.
Detection has already been there, so Feast at least out of position, but it's in the middle of the enemy team. There's the EMP, and it comes out first. Now the other one directly in there. Feast gets 2 kills out of the back. Naru there to set Henningsen down. The overtime break still running. Shoes Money Crew looking very, very solid right now. Hades just firing Busan all the way over it. The overtime break going out, and that is a very hard fought, but well-deserved first map to Shoes Money Crew.
Shoes Money Crew just looking so good right now, and every single time they make the first move. And when you play these mirror comps against each other, making that first move is actually important. We've just come from a double barrier meta, where making the first move was often a detriment, where you had to play more patiently, where a lot of the time you wait for the enemy to give you an opening in order to go in. Shoes Money Crew, though, have completely adapted this new style of play with the hyper dive, where you just jump in and don't even give a hoot. Because if you make that aggression first, yes, you have to use your cooldowns. But if you're already on top of them, the cooldowns that, the ultimates can use in that situation, they're not, they're mobility cooldowns. They're cooldowns like that where you're like, okay, so we can't use them aggressively. We can only use them to run away. And if you're in that position where you are the aggressor, you are going to be in such a great position if you choose Money Crew. So when we go to these next maps, if they're going to keep playing this mirror, you need more initiative, the ultimates. You do need some more aggression. You need to not only react, because that EMP, we just saw it, also came out second. And that was what it was all about in that fight.
Well, I have to say, though, making the first move, very, very important. But making that first move count is still a very tough deal for either side of the aisle, right? The ultimates were able to actually detect that last EMP. Fees in the middle of the enemy team gets detected, has to move all the way around. If that would have taken just a second longer, then I think the roles would have been completely reversed, and maybe the outcome would have been as well. So making that first move is instrumental, but it's also a little bit of luck. Let's be honest.
Yeah, very much so. You can't always say that the team was just earlier. Sometimes it actually has to do with the way they execute it. So in this situation, you say, yeah, Sophie's actually got detected, probably wanted to go for the EMP even earlier. And looking at how much later Erky then gets that EMP off, that actually shows you how far ahead SMC is in planning these fights out, how far ahead they are in this is when we engage versus when the ultimates are actually ready to engage or get engaged on. The ultimates just don't seem ready a lot of the time. You can see it here. Feast gets that EMP off, and just after that, you get the EMP from Erky, which was it Erky, Froky? You get the EMP on the other side. So yeah, it's not really something to look forward to. You get the EMP, then you hear the other one, and meanwhile, while the EMP comes out, Fees already gets 2 kills on the supports.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
Just how
also,
ready the ultimates are.
Yeah, that's right. Also, Erky's was more of a response at that point, not this well placed at the one that Fees was able to set out. So that was nice to see. Let's talk about the next map, though. Let's talk about Junkertown.
Let's do it.
So we have seen a lot of these Sigma setups with the Widowmaker, with the Tracer on the sideline. Is that something we are going to see from these teams, or are they going to try and
I'm very much expecting it. I don't think that the ultimates, their hyperdive, is their preferred composition. I think if you have a player like Busan who showed so much experience on heroes like Sigma, like Zarya, and yes, they've played D.Va in the past, but that were really his signature heroes. Why would you ever try and play Hyperdive? Just go with the Roadhog Sigma, with the Roadhog Zarya, with the Sigma Zarya if you really want to. And I think that also comes back to what Henningsen maybe prefers to play. So if I'm looking at the ultimates, this might have just been a fluke. This is just, you play Hyperdive versus Hyperdive on a control map and you lose, but after that, he's going to let loose. You're going to have your snipers back. You're going to have your Sigmas back. You're going to have all those heroes that you really like playing, and this control map is no guarantee for the future.
It is no guarantee for the future, and it is not something that anyone expects to be something for the future as well, of course. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Junkertown. Teams are still getting ready, I believe, to drop in.
Correct.
So I would say let's give them a little minute just to take a bit of a breather. I think they've earned it. And when we return, we're going straight into Junkertown. No long talks from us. So stick right around. We'll be back in just a few seconds. We're live. We are back. Like I said, just a couple of seconds, and we are going to be jumping into Junkertown in just a few. I have a question. What do you think about the tank lineup, or the tank lineup that we are going to see? Are we still going to see the Monkey, or are we going to see a bit more static Roadhogs, Sigma, or something along those lines?
I mean, just before we went to the break, we were talking about it, right? Where Henningsen and Busan, I don't feel like the Winston D.Va is really their forte. It really should be more on those more static, more controlling tanks rather than the aggressive dive ones. And when we go to a map like Junkertown, that is playing more into their wheelhouse. The dive can definitely work here, but we've seen how good you can counter that, potentially just swapping to a Reaper and a Roadhog, and just, you shut them down. And when we look at Hades and Nero, of course, they looked amazing on that Winston and that D.Va. It's definitely heroes that they're known for, heroes they've been playing in the past that just work for them.
Yeah.
But going to this new map here, you will most likely see a swap up in almost every single situation. It's not going to be the mirror. Half the players, if not more than half of the players, are going to be on different heroes. And so far, when we look at these teams getting ready, you can already see it. The ultimates coming out on Foki, Urki on the double sniper, Henningsen, Busan on that Roadhog Sigma, Jockey Milk and Sir Majet on the Mercy Ana. Not one hero is the same as we just saw. As I say that, of course, Urki has to ruin my day and go to Sombra. But it's still 5 different heroes, okay? It's still 5, still in a pretty good position. And we might see this Zenyatta Mercy attack, but even there, Fees is on the Widowmaker. Naru and Hades, different tanks. Kumber and Staff, different supports. It is a completely different situation. And this is where we will probably see more of the power that the ultimates possess.
No, that's right. I was already a little bit skeptical when Urki came out with that. Hanzo was about to ask you what the thought process there is, especially knowing that there is a very, very risky strat. But running into Fees immediately as Urki, that is also very, very detrimental to your health. Foki fires onto Fees though. So immediately Foki gets a double kill, gets Kumba out there as well. So the ultimate's showing why their sniper is someone that we would like to write into the books here. Naru onto Busan, but this is a very one-sided fight for now. The ultimate's just collapsing, moving beautifully all the way around this building and making sure that his payload stops.
Yeah, and Busan's one job is to make sure that the main choke or that main avenue of attack is just being stalled out. Busan doesn't have to win that fight. Busan just has to make that fight last, so the flanks can get cleaned up by Henningsen, by Urki, by Foki, and then afterwards they go and help out Busan if he's still alive. Jockey Mill has the res, they can just go back in.
That's right, in the back all the way, Psycho though. Psycho jumping towards that sniper window. That's an interesting strat, so they can come from any side. Foki in a bit of an issue, a bit of trouble here. Has to pull back because that was a bit too much pressure for their liking. So Majet already going down due to that long frame from Psycho. Naru and Fees fight their targets. And this time around, Shoes Money crew have a much better attack because they're not just coming through the main gate and saying hello. They are not here to sell vacuums, but to push a payload.
And Foki, Sir Majet, like they just stay around that flank. They see a Roadhog barreling towards them, and they barely even try and run away. You really got to start wondering whether with these teams all holding in that corner next to that building, why it is so easy to get through that flank, to get through that alleyway, and maybe a larger rotation towards the other side of that street can go. Fees gets there earlier on Foki here. There's probably be a bit of a delay in this defense.
Yeah, that will not only put a delay or a hole into the defense, but will actually enable Choose Money crew to use that pressure to further forward their advantage. That's the EMP though, immediately countered by a very good Transcendence. Now Hades has that whole hog, chooses not to jump down just yet, gets Shocky and some Majet out first, so Choose Money crew have some room to maneuver. Psycho clears out both of the tanks on the sideline, is able to probably get a lot of that pulse bomb back. Foki comes around the corner, equalizes it, but for now that's beautiful.
That's the second time that Hades is just able to walk up onto Sir Majet without any repercussions, without any counters. That's gotta stop.
That has to stop. Russell now on the D.Va just flies in, tries to make a little bit of a gross target. There's a good rabbiting flux up there, and that means that the entirety of the defense is up in the air, and that's not just in a literal but also in a metaphorical sense.
Yeah, they've been swapping up their tank line. Now they're back on that Winston D.Va that I personally didn't like like of them. Foki and Urki back on the Tracer. Sombra, Jockey Milk on the Lucio. Sir Majet still on the Ana. But Sir Majet really has been a relatively easy target for SMC. I'm going to focus on that again because it's just been the case. Every single time Sir Majet is easy to dive, and while it looks like the ultimates want to put a lot of pressure with their frontliner DPS, it does leave Sir Majet awfully unprotected.
He just jumps down, tries to hack something, he leaves himself a little bit vulnerable. At the end of the day, he has to pull back, and that is just a found bait for Psycho. Going in there, taking both Sir Majet and Henningsen out. And you are right, we have seen Sir Majet on the Ana on Monday doing some miracle work, but this time he's just under too much pressure.
Just get shut down, and now they have to go to the Moira. They've got a composition that wasn't really working for them on Busan, and I mean, Foki does find that first pick here on the Psycho, but Henningsen immediately under so much counter pressure that does that Tracer missing really matter? The answer so far doesn't seem to be yes.
Yeah, and Kumba not under enough pressure to actually not needing to DPS. Is just able to just casually shoot a couple of loads onto Henningsen, and that is just what you want from your Baptiste at that point. There's another Transcendence Razor, so SMC have all the tools in their toolbox to just push it further, but there's the EMP. That is beautiful. Hades in a little bit of trouble. The rest of SMC still looking good though. Now though, Henningsen has that Primal Rage, moves it in. Psycho and Saab find Rustin and Foki on the other side. Hades has enough time to get that whole hog after being juggled around, and this is just a slaughter at this point. And there's the cap.
Choose Money Crew. I mean, they're definitely exploiting weaknesses on the side of the ultimates, don't get me wrong, but they're doing their job so well right now. There's just no openings, because you see what the ultimates are trying to do. They're trying to go for a composition that is so aggressive that they don't even need openings. They just need to be there first. But even though they're not playing this hyperdive anymore, Shoes Money Crew is consistently beating them to the punch. They're always initiating first. They're always on top of them, and they're always in the driver's seat. It is the ultimates that are adapting. They're the ones that are trying to swap up compositions, go to different positions, run away. They're not actually looking like they're in any form of control, and that is so surprising with the performances we've seen from them these past days.
Yeah, I mean, the Ultimates earned their name the last couple of days, and now Shoes Money Crew are just putting on their running shoes and making laps around them. It's crazy to see so far. So the Ultimates need to find their vibe back. They need to find that very deliberate and very methodical way of playing that we've seen from them so far in order to get Shoes Money Crew to sweat at least a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about a very close group here, because between the Ultimates, Choose Money Crew, and Young and Beautiful, they've gone like in a circle so far. So the Ultimates beat Young and Beautiful, and the Choose Money Crew lost to Young and Beautiful. And if the Ultimates lose to Choose Money Crew, that second place in that group is looking very interesting. That's going to be for later, though. First, they have to still win the series, but with this time bank on Junkertown, that's looking amazing for them. They're looking so poised to go up 2-0 in this series.
That's right. It's a very likely scenario as it stands right now, but this map is far from over. This match is far from over, and Urki is trying to make something happen on that Hanzo. Had a good shot onto Saab, but Saab was able to just get away with it. Henningsen gets onto Naru and is trying to go for more. Saab, once again, in that little room, is right-clicking with a lot of damage behind them. And Urki is storm arrowing Psycho, so at least no more pesky tracers in your backline there.
Yeah, so far Urki is doing a pretty good job on that Hanzo. Just been taking their head off by Fees over there, but getting that tank line down, getting that pressure on, and straight away just progressing throughout this map this quickly. It's a good start from the ult. They're still not quite there yet, but it's a good start.
Yeah, now it's Foki versus Fees on the Widowmaker. I'm looking forward to how this is going in the other side of the attacking set, because Fees was running circles around Foki earlier. Hades, though, and Saab are making so many things happen at the same time. They are just able to do, well, I'm not going to say whatever they want, but very much close to it.
Yeah, very close to it. And the most interesting part about this matchup right now has nothing to do with the tank and DPS. It really doesn't. It's about Kumber being on that Baptiste. Does so much more utility-wise at least protection-wise, for that defense. And even if you have someone like Henningsen walk around the backline, there's an immortality field. There's a lot of healing. There's a lot of damage that comes out from both Kumber and Saab, something that Chucky Milk is just not able to provide.
No, that's right. And we don't see a lot of Baptiste nowadays, of course, because the compositions are a lot less static in their playstyle. Feast with a nice shot to Brunson. But I'm liking the pick nonetheless. Psycho, good shot to Bogey. And Hades, once again, has a whole hog. Is actually using that in combination with that... how do you say? With that transcendence from both of the... I'm blanking on the name. Help me.
It's okay. This fight is basically over anyway. Sue's Money Crew is walking over it, but those are good kills. Choky Milk on Foki. Oh, they get another one. Foki on a tear. This is going to be a very quick re-engage, and this is probably point A just off some clean headshots from Foki.
That is crazy. That is just beautiful. Now the Shapa Morigar is out, so they have a little bit of infrasight and a little bit of an information advantage right there. Also, the name is Zenyatta. Thank you for helping me with that one, man of class. Why do I even have a color caster at this point? Zap and Psycho find their targets. Urki moving straight in, trying to find a target in that backline, but gets repelled over and over again. Now Saab, good shot yet again. And this is looking good for Shoes Money Crew. 38 seconds on the clock. And I am sure this is not what the Ultimates wanted when they started this in.
Oh, you have one shot, one opportunity, one chance to potentially get this payload still to point A. You have some ultimates to work with, but the ultimates so far under too much pressure. It's a good sleep dart onto Naru, but his flank is so much better controlled from the side of Shoes Money Crew than it ever was from the side of the ultimates.
They are Psycho once again going immediately onto that Widowmaker. Is heavily protected by Shocky Milk though. Foki able to survive that Choky Milk. Not so lucky. Urki going down as well there. And that is it. That is that. They cannot touch because the whole hog is protecting the load. Shoes Money Crew 2-0 up on this series.
Choose Money Crew. I don't know what to say. Like I said it before the series started. I said, yes, they have the pieces, but they still need to show that they actually have what it takes in order to win a series against the Ultimates that have been looking so good. But so far, there are no answers on the side of the Ultimates. Like absolutely none. You lose the control point 2-0. Then you think you do a decent job at the start of maybe defending Junkertown, but then you just get run over with a huge time bank and you don't even get to point A yourself. There's a lot needed to drag this back from the gates of hell, because so far, there's just nothing to be done against Shoes Money Crew. And we're looking at a power gap, a stylistic difference that I don't know if you can overcome that with a few minutes break.
I mean, the Ultimates have every quality in their toolbox to take this on. We have seen them do this. We have seen them do this convincingly. Yet Shoes Money Crew so far seemingly the stronger party member here. I am sure that the Ultimates, if they can get their mental up and running, can take this back. However, can they take their mental back in that one remaining chance that they still have? There's the kicker question.
Yeah, and we're going to go to Temple of Anubis next. It's going to be that assault map that we sometimes fear, sometimes loathe, sometimes love. It's all about your personal preference. But of course, if you are believing in the Ultimates, definitely let us know in chat. You know, we always like seeing everyone's reactions to it, everyone's going on. And you can always use Twitter, you know, just to show out the support to the teams. I'm sure they'd love to hear it from you. And right now, Shoes Money Crew, I'd say they can still use support. They'll still be happy with it, but they're not the ones that need it. It's definitely the Ultimates that need to come back.
Well, they don't need it right now. Let's put it this way. In this particular matchup, Shoes Money Crew are looking like they are ready to go out and buy some new sneakers. That is just crazy what we've just seen so far. However, Temple of Anubis is a different puppy, like you already said. We have seen the Ultimates in their run on Monday, I believe. When we last cast them, yes, that was on Monday, and they had this in the pocket. They were playing Temple of Anubis, and they left absolutely no doubt, no shred of doubt in everyone's minds when they were playing this. And that is on the back of an exceptionally effective defensive play. So Temple of Anubis could be where the Ultimates can just take it back because they can bunker themselves in. They can play these, like I said, deliberate defensive plays that I personally absolutely love. But we will see once we go live, once we go into the map.
Yeah, and of course we see them start on the defense again, which means that this first round is going to be very, very telling and decisive as to how much the Ultimates can actually do on maybe their favorite or maybe their best map. So if they cannot have a defense where Shoes Money Crew, even if they complete point B, if they have more than 2 minutes left, the Ultimates are in trouble. That's just how it is. Because if you're that good at this map, you're not able to put up a defense with, you know, maybe them even capping point A or B, but they have more than 2 minutes left, then, I mean, I'm not saying it's over. It definitely won't be, but that is not a good sign. So this defense, it's going to rely on it. And they're setting up with the Ashe on Foki. Urki is now on that Sombra. Henningsen Brussen once again on the Winston Diva and Chucky Milk, and Sir Majed on the Mercy and the Ana. And I like the Mercy Ashe setup, I do. But we saw in the previous series that holding up this close or holding far away often just doesn't make a difference. This first point has just become so hard to hold these days.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. No, that's right. On the other side, we see Feez and Psycho going with that Tracer Sombra combination. Hades and Naru, very aggressive on the Winston Wrecking Ball combination. That can absolutely just devastate whatever setup you had for yourself. Kumba and Sap just there to support on the Lucio and the Moira. And that is a very, very fast run that they're going for here.
Yeah, so far it's a pretty good attack. The hack comes out onto Brussen, cannot do anything but hop away, and the hack comes on the 80s. They take the Winston, and that's a good start.
No, that's right. Key finds Hades. That is absolutely well played. Choose Money Crew though. Psycho looking for more targets as Naru and Feez already get their kills. The cap is already on the way, and the first third should actually be in the pocket, but Foki makes a double onto Kumba and Psycho. There's a rest onto Brussen, and the Ultimates take this back before the cap can actually go into a single take. That looked dangerous, but they took it back, and now this is a good moment where you entrench yourself.
A few members already taken a high ground position. Sir Majid actually got very hard pressure going to low ground, but Foki has been the hero and goes down early.
He does. There is there's a minefield out, so is the Bob, and we also see Henningsen on the Primal Rage, so they really want this point clear, and they want to make clear that this point should remain clear. Brussen with a good double kill on the set line. Psycho trying to save themselves there, goes for the health pack, tries to do a 180, but is not able to run away from Henningsen there.
Psycho and Feez have so far been nightmares to deal with Foki, but you can see why this is one of their better maps. If Foki gets so much freedom to just be on the high ground for, well, basically can't be contested by anything because it's hard to get up there for those heroes, then they get so much more value.
That's right.
Foki is a good Foki.
Free Fuki is good Fuki indeed, and the Wrecking Ball has nothing against Urki, who is just able to basically count them out. Good deal here, killing that transponder orb for the Sombra. Urki nowhere to go at this point. There is an EMP ready for both these Sombras. Both of them seem to keep holding on to it. Henningsen and Brussen though clear it out once again. 1 minute 30 on the clock, and it would be a good moment to do that first attack again, don't you think?
Yeah, we're talking about a lot of situations here where they keep trying to chase down Foki. Foki again gets that gets that Bob online. The EMP is there for Urki too, and because they're the ones dropping from the high ground, all their moves, all their ultimates, all their executions, all their firepower should just get so much more value than anything that Shoes Money Crew wants to do.
That's right, Hades already half HP before they can actually get towards that bridge. In the back is Psycho, goes slow, is hacked. There though is the EMP. Feast trying to make something happen. Only Foki is actually still, how do you say, effective. Kumba goes down with the counter EMP, and now it's clean up for the Ultimates. They are holding on to it, and they are holding on to it furiously. 40 seconds on the clock.
So much resource invested in trying to get Chucky, Milk, and Foki on that high ground. Yes, you find the Mercy, but that Ashes gets to skip away, throw out the Bob, and have a field day. Foki just unstoppable right now, and trying to stop that Ashe is just what they're trying to do, but not. It's the one thing they can't.
Let's see what's happening. 15 seconds up on the clock. Foki has that dynamite in there. Now goes for a bit of a sniper battle versus Psycho, who swapped it out, but Foki gets Psycho and Naru down. Henningsen is hacked, but is able to keep the entirety of SMC actually shut in that room. Effectively put on the house arrest. The overtime rig running, but running low. Only one of the Shoes Money crew on the point so far. Henningsen now with the Primal Rage, jumping up onto Naru, actually just balling him into that little corner. And this is just baseball training at this point. Round 1 complete, and that was an impressive defense.
So far, the Ultimates still need to definitely come back with a vengeance. We said that first defense is going to show what they're made of. That's going to be the deciding factor in if we give them even a shred of hope anymore. And I think if you hold them for 50.3% on point A on Anubis, there's definitely more than a shred of hope left for the Ultimates. This map looks all but over, but they still have to do it themselves. 4 minutes is plenty of time for just over half the objective, but you need to do it first before we believe that you actually can win a map here. The Ultimates gonna go try, and they're most likely gonna succeed, but let's not hatch your eggs before they're done.
No, that's definitely right. Now, Foki, if they can stay as free on the attack as they were in the defense, this is over in 2 minutes flat. But Feast and Psycho will try and make this as hard as possible. Hades and Naru, once again, on those jumpy kind of tank combinations on the Diva and the Winston. So not much changed on the side of Shoes Money crew. Attack or defense, they are content with what they know best.
One thing I can promise you, though, is Foki won't be as free as they were on their defense. There's not a free high ground to set up on. The Tracer and the Sombra will always be able to get to you together with that Winston and that Diva. So you're not going to have as good as a time as you just did on defense. But Foki's not really one to care that much about it. They will be still on the Ashe, and they'll just get those shots off regardless. It's all about how many of them hit.
No, that's right, but they still need to be able to more or less hide behind Henningsen or Brusson, and whether or not they can go in there and make enough space, that will be the kicker for this entire fight.
Only jumping gets booted away. Here, Coomer now on that Lucio side on the Moira, but Hades takes a lot of damage. It's Busan though, biggest teammates.
That's right, Bruston, D-Max, Psycho looking for more targets in the entirety of Shoes Money crew. Just basically focusing on that little side alley. Moving straight in was Urki. He hacked something in the back, was able to get out and get ready to move towards the center of the point, while the rest of the Ultimates are slowly inching forward, looking for the holes in the defense. But Kumba shows them that there is none, at least so far.
They keep losing a member early, or like half a member. Last time they lost Boost and Smack, this time they lose Henningsen. And it's all off the back of great DPS play. Feast and Psycho, they're charging their ultimate fast. The hacks are getting followed up on. And so far, there hasn't been that much of an answer for the Ultimates. They will have their supports going, but that's all.
Well, that's all, but is that going to be enough? That's the big question. Now moving in, Shoes Money crew need to pull back a little bit because it's Henningsen making a lot of space. Foki finds Psycho. Naru is actually able to shut down Foki. There's a coalescence coming out. The EMP comes out from Feast, and now they're investing in a defense that needs to hold and needs to hold for another 2.5 minutes. Hades ready with that Primal Rage, does not want to jump it in there, but hold it for the next line, and I expect Naru to do the same with his bomb.
Yeah, and right now we're looking at a situation where Urki tried to force the hand of Shoes Money crew. They try to force it to the objective, but Shoes Money crew is so disciplined. They all move back and all move forward to make that reaction going. What was now on objective, I think? No, didn't quite get there.
didn't quite get there, was a bit too angled because immediately Pokey got jumped by Hades. Good EMP though this time around. The ultimate's moving it in. That is 3 kills on the back of that EMP, and Shoes Money Crew falling apart. Psycho wanting to go in just gets swatted back by Henningsen, and that, as they say, is that the ultimates take it and they take it back to a 2-1.
It takes only that one attack that you need to get going, and the EMP is such a great ultimate to set that up. Foki definitely got a great commendation there on the defense, as the Ashe on the attack, they were still there. The Bob got some value, denying a lot of space there, but on the defense, really where they shone, where they just kept on going, kept on getting the headshots, got like a 3K at some point when the fight just looked almost to be over. And it's also reminiscent of Junkertown, where Foki just got those 3 kills at a moment where there wasn't really a fight going on anymore. It was just like at the end of something. And if Foki can get that online a bit sooner, and get it going a bit quicker, and keep SMC on their toes into like, oh, we have to get that Ashe, we have to get on top of the Widowmaker, we have to get on top of Foki, then that changes a lot of the dynamic if they cannot catch Foki and Foki gets that free space. That being said, it was Anubis.
Yeah.
You have so much free spaces in Ashe and Anubis because of those high grounds that it's not a guarantee that it will work on every map. And that's not something you can count on carrying you every single time, someone who pops off that hard. So when we go to Eichenwalde next, those high grounds are still there, but only on the second checkpoint. So if that street space doesn't bring you all the glory that you needed to with Foki on that Ashe, what other tools do you have? Because they have some, they've been showing some, but they still rely so heavily on that DPS just doing their jobs.
They do rely heavily on Foki and Erky making sure that something is happening, when Henningsen and Brussen just throw themselves into the fray as the biggest distraction that they can possibly be. Meanwhile, on the other side, we do see Hades and Naru, like you said, being much more disciplined, much more coherent in their waxing and waning of aggression in combination with their backline. FaZe and Psycho, they can do whatever the hell they want. There is just, they can run around the place like the little children at an Italian birthday party. But the rest of them are just moving as a unit. And if they can keep that cohesion on Eichenwalde, it's going to be hard for the Ultimates DPS to do what they do best. And that is just, well, getting the kills.
Yeah. And of course, we cannot undersell what FaZe and Psycho have been able to do. Like, Psycho on that Tracer has just been consistently outplaying Erky or Foki, whatever Sombra or Tracer they were on. No, maybe when they're on the Widowmaker and the Ashe, that matchup doesn't go quite as well, but Psycho has been such a pain to deal with in the backline that the Ultimates don't get the same freedom that they usually want to have. So that high ground was so instrumental because it doesn't allow Psycho to do as much of their job, but Erky has to step up more together with Henningsen to jump up on those high grounds. Sorry, I'm talking about FaZe and Hades there, and that's an analogy. My bad. But when we go to Eichenwalde, again, like, the high ground is really only there on that street space, maybe on the last checkpoint when you have that side balcony. But other than that, it will be very easy for Psycho to once again get on top of that backline and make Sir Majet and Foki's life just miserable. And they've been doing such a good job that I don't think they're going to get away with not doing that.
No, that's right. So Eichenwalde is going to be an interesting prospect because it is a combination of what we've already seen. It is a combination of Junkertown, where you have the nooks and crannies, where you have the flank routes, where you have the way of the ninja, if I dare say so that way, in combination with the high ground, with the defensive possibilities that we've seen just now on Temple of Anubis. So when we jump in here, we are going to see the best of both worlds for both of these teams, and I'm looking forward to one massive fight.
Yeah, it's truly the one thing we've been waiting for, right? We're truly waiting for these teams to show that they're actually equally matched, because so far, either team that when they've won a map, they've looked just overbearingly dominant on that map that they've won. And if that keeps on going, that theme, that's just the way this series goes, then whoever wins this map is going to do it in a convincing fashion. If it's a 2-2 or a 3-2 or 3-1, that doesn't actually make a difference. It's just I want to see a close match between these teams. I want to see them actually go toe-to-toe, both teams getting very far or not far at all on the map, and that will make for an exciting series. Because so far, it's not been boring, but it's been less exciting than it potentially could be with the way the maps progress.
Yeah, up until now, up until actually Temple of Anubis, it has almost been one-sided so far. So, what I would have Santa give me for very, very early Christmas is the Ultimates winning this after a very, very, very clutch fight, and then on Nepal, the repeat of of the control setup where both teams get to duke it out one last time. That is something that I would really like. But for now, Eichenwalde is up and ready on the defense. In green this time around is Shoes Money Crew, and in white on the attack here, the Ultimate. So let's get ready for some more Contenders trials.
It's Urki Farah time. This is the map where you can play it on. Foki now on the Tracer. Let's see what Psycho has to say about that one.
Now moving in immediately with a hack onto Henningsen. Beautifully set up here by Fees. Has to pull back for a little bit. The fight is already along. And now jumping in is a tank line. We do see immediately that the Ultimates want to go far, want to go deep. Henningsen maybe a little bit too deep. Urki on the Farah looking for a couple of targets, but gets under pressure from Naru. Just flying Sky in and making sure that Urki doesn't have enough space to fully get their potential in and out. Kumba on the Lucio has to run away from a couple of rockets there. And now Urki gets pushed back yet again. So far, so good. The Ultimate in a good attack, but Shoes Money Crew holding it.
So far, they do trade back and forth with the Ultimates, lose their pharmacy combo. A lot of DPS gone. There goes Henningsen.
Yeah, there goes Henningsen. Psycho and Fees take up their targets, but immediately the trade is up to Hades and Saab. So looking at what has just happened is a big brawl where it's a 2v2 swap and actually a little bit of an advantage for the Ultimates on their attack.
Yeah, they have some slight respawn advantage there. Urki getting close to the barrage, but there's the aggressive move. Chokimo got a position taken out.
Immediately taking out, that means Urki doesn't have the healing to sustain that continuous charge that Naru is getting on there. Good bomb from Foki onto Kumba. Good hack onto Henningsen, who has that primal rage, but is not able to move up close enough in order to be truly, truly dangerous. The Ultimates have to pull back yet again as SMC get another setup on the defense and get their lost teammates back in the fray.
It's all up to Naru this fight. Naru has to stop Urki from doing whatever they want to do because they've got the barrage. They want to drop down. Naru flies up to them, just blocks them for a little bit. It actually goes out of mech. This is a free barrage time.
There is a Diva Bomb, but there's immediately a bubble being put on top of that. Beautifully set up here for Henningsen. They had to pull back. There's a barrage! 2 kills already. At the end of the day, Urki gets flown into the ether, but no more healing on the side of Shoes Money Crew. Urki getting rest up by Chalky Milk. Now the Ultimates have that place that they wanted Shoes Money Crew to be in, namely on the defensive toe right there. They are just one leg behind, and they should be the cap. No, Shoes Money Crew coming back. There's a coalescence coming out. Hades is there. So is Sap. Naru out of mech gets absolutely destroyed by Urki at the sideline, but that does not mean that Shoes Money Crew are just leaving this out. Urki with the kill onto Psycho. This is what I was talking about. I want the good fight, and these teams are giving it to us right now as Brusson goes down. This is beautiful. The Pharmacy still under pressure, but still has the opportunity to stay up on the high ground. Still contesting though. Is Beast has an EMP, now fires it out, and is going hard for it. Naru with a nice shot onto Urki. Chalky Milk going down there as well. The only one still up there is Henningsen on that ball. 30 seconds remaining, and this attack is repelled, but it is repelled just by a toe's length.
And now you're gonna get some more ultimates coming back in. They need like 10 seconds to maybe guide this up, and they've got 50 in the bank. Not a lot of time to work with, but the ultimates can still very much do it. Are they gonna get Naru out of that mech and go for another barrage? They need to get those supports again. That would be amazing if they could.
God, I love this game. This could be very, very much amazing. Saab fires Erky on the side. The Overtomic already running. Now it's 1 versus 1 on the point. Henningsen has that minefield out, but Hades finds him at the sideline. Hades now fires it in with the Primal Rage and is looking to stick the rest of the ultimates into the corner away from that last little bit of attack. Naru with a good pulse bomb there. Sorry, with a good diva bomb. Hades finds a double kill in Brosnan and Foki. The overtime though, still running. Now moving in is that barrage from the long range, and Erky doesn't really find a lot of target, but give Henningsen a couple of seconds to the cap, and that is it. Round 1 complete without a cap. 2/3 already down, but they couldn't make it happen.
This is monumental in this current meta. Not capping that first checkpoint is, I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's so hard to hold this. Eichenwalde is such a map where if you get a decent attack ongoing, not even a dominant attack, you will usually take that first checkpoint. So the comeback of Shoes Money Crew is just insane. And so much of that is on the back of Fees. Did so much work against that pharmacy. The hacks out of the sky, gets the Mercy Res denied, does the EMP when they coming back initially. Like, there's so much going on with that Sombra play. And we were talking about Psycho before of the Tracer. Yes, they were still doing work, but this was all coming up Fees.
I love this game, and this is exactly the kind of rounds why I do. I know it's point A. You have a long storyline to still go, but if you fight over this point this intensively on both sides, you get my heart racing. This is great.
Ollie, but this could be it. Literally one fight. They come out of the gate. One fight and this could be over. Because, like I said, I come out first. Not the most impossible point to cap in this game. It's not Anubis. It's not a 2CP map. It's not one of those control maps or those other, you know, maps where it's just like, oh, you can't get past it because it's just so hard to hold. Defensively, this map isn't a dominating position. Erky on the far though should have a better time on the defense, but as long as he can get that angle, as long as Naru and Fees do their job again like they did in the defense, this could be over so quickly.
This could be over so quickly, but by the way, both of these teams have been fighting so far. I am looking forward to a hard press setup there. Hades already going down, tries to get onto that high ground, and is immediately shot out of the sky. Erky finds Kumba, and that is just going to be one of those fights where it is going to seem impossible, but imagine if both of these teams just hold point here for the next couple of minutes.
I mean, you almost have to hold the entire point, because indeed it's 91.3%. It's not like it's a tick, you know, it's a bit more than that, so maybe that combat potential will also be there for the ultimates, even if they lose half a fight. But Erky so far just booming away on that far. 85%, 87, you can't even keep up with the ultimate.
Absolutely right, but once again we see Naru going hard onto Erky. Erky has to make sure that he has the room to actually fire that barrage. Maybe actually, yes, get that bait out from the Diva. Just bait out that boost, and then you can fire the barrage, and it's exactly what they've been doing. Erky and Fuki doing damage. Erky with a triple kill, and this is looking good.
Oh, the ultimates. Every time we think it's done and dusted, they just show up back again. 2.5 minutes to go. Shoes Money Crew, it's plenty of time, but you're not building up these ultimates anytime soon. And so far, the ultimates are able to just have them in the bank. They can keep storing them. Only use that barrage last fight.
2 minutes 20 on the clock. A lot of ultimates coming up, and Shoes Money Crew so close to the win that they can actually smell the money, but right now, the ultimates are still holding up a valiant defense right there. Henningsen jumping into the backline. There's the Nano. Doesn't even have to use the Primal Rage. Does so anyway. Now jumps straight in. Trying to clear this point. Is hacked, but keeps those CPS away from the point for a little bit longer. Shoes Money Crew though, moving it in. Fees has an EMP. There it is. There it goes. Erky out of the sky straight away. And now the first side already being capped out there. And it is Hades who is jumping in the backline, jumping in that little side room. Psycho with a double kill. Brosnan and Henningsen going down there, and this is looking good. Shoes Money Crew in a very good position to take it out. That's the second tick. They're going up towards the 90s, and it's gone.
Oh, Shoes Money Crew, once again, it's one fight you have to win, and they win it convincingly. Once again, FaZe just builds up that EMP. They're not really fighting before, they're just poking away, waiting for Henningsen to come in, get the hack on the Winston, and that's all the feed that FaZe needs. Just throws the Intoxicator in the air, hacks Urki out of it, and then Chucky Milk doesn't even want to go close to that body with that Valkyrie. So, beautifully done from SMC to clean up this series, and once again, we're talking about a situation where none of these teams, they haven't showed us a close map. It's just been very, very decisive map wins in terms of, look, in-map score. And I talked about it before. I can say it now. It's happened. There's a three-way tie between 3 teams going on right now. Not yet in terms of game score, but like Young and Beautiful, they lost against the Ultimates.
Yeah.
Then they won against Shoes Money Crew, and then Shoes Money Crew won against the Ultimate. So they've made a triangle now. So either of these teams not getting the same result against the rest of their group will break that. But if they all keep doing the same thing, we might have a 3-way tie, and they could bring us into an interesting tiebreaker if they don't go off map score, which I don't actually, they might. This could be a very exciting week still, because this day didn't really solve anything for Group B here.
No, it did not. The only thing it did was get our heart rate going, because while this may have been very, very convincing, while this may have been almost one-sided, it has shown us that both of these teams have a lot of potential, have a lot of what it takes to be in contenders, and I must say, have been entertaining us thoroughly.
Yes, 100%. And of course, it's not going to be all that we have to show for you today, because we will still get the chance to talk to one of those Shoes Money Crew players. But before that, Ollie, I'm going to throw it to a little bit of a break so we can get them set up and get things rolling properly.
Yeah, so when we return, we will have Shoes Money Crew interview. So stick right there. Let us listen to why this was such an impressive showing from them. Be right back. And we are back with a little bit of an after show after that great game between the Ultimates and Shoes Money Crew. With us, joining us here is a Shoes Money Crew's DPS player, Psycho, and he has had an impressive showing, so we are very, very happy to have him with us. Hello, Psycho.
Hello, hello.
So, talk me through how this game felt for you guys, because we said it felt a tiny bit one-sided but still exciting. How was that in the in the player chat? How did you guys feel about this game?
I mean, honestly, I expected it to be a little bit closer because we obviously lost to Yab and they beat Yab. But yeah, it ended up being easier than expected.
Yeah, really looked like it. So can you attribute that to anything that they particularly did wrong? Where you say like they just didn't seem to either be able to deal with what we did, or they just constantly made the same mistake there?
I'm not gonna give them free coaching, but I'll
Fair.
say that I'll just say that we as a team were much better than them.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. Yeah.
All right. So if you had to point to one of your players and had to say this was absolutely the instrumental player in today, who would that be?
Everyone actually. Everyone. I'm not gonna name one because everyone
fine.
just played really good, and I feel like we really outclassed them as a team, not individually. Even though maybe I tracer diffed Fuki, but except apart from that, yeah.
I mean, look, we talked about the Tracer a few times. We were like, yeah, you know, we really felt like the only reason why they did okay on Anubis is because Foke just couldn't be reached
That's
by a
true,
Tracer that
that's
easily.
true.
So like, it was something we brought up. But
Yeah,
I mean,
Fuki
was
went
it?
crazy on Anubis.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a moment where we were like, okay, so how are you even gonna get to Foke? Because as soon as you jump on him, you maybe get the mercy, but then Foki's just gone to the
Yeah.
other side of the map. But I mean, in general, of course, you guys did very well. Was there like a moment in that match where you guys sort of like, you know, you maybe like let go a little bit, and you're like, you know what, we got this, it's fine, or are you like really on the mental, constantly push?
Now we didn't want to go easy because if we lost this match, we probably wouldn't qualify for Contenders, and
Makes
obviously
sense.
that was our goal. So we made sure the
Yeah.
mental was staying strong. Everyone was focused. Yeah.
So
Cool.
looking forward to the rest of your march towards Contenders. I'm blanking on who your next opponent is going to be, but is there an opponent where you are saying, okay, this is really our make or break moment, or was that the fight you were just in?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know which other teams are in trials. I only know that there was Yab and the Ultimates, and those were the best teams. And I don't even know the other teams.
You still have Hot Bath and Vasta to go through, and Hot Bath is currently leading the group. So you know,
Hot Bath is leading the group. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really scared of them. I think the best team was Yab or the Ultimates, and yeah.
Cool. Well, I mean, you know, you went 1-1 against those, so now you're
Yeah.
going up against Hot Bath next, then Vasta. Yeah, I mean, you know, you already said you're not really worried about those after this this win today, and it's got to feel good, you know, having this decisive of a win coming out. Yeah, I mean, go celebrate. Obviously, that's what we're gonna do. Thank you for your time.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you so much for being with us, Psycho, for Shoes Money Crew. Like Man of Class just said, the next match for Shoes Money's crew will be Hot Bath, a team that has been running through the Contenders trials so far, has shown us that a new player on the block can absolutely freshen it up. So be there when we show that, and that will be I don't know if that's tomorrow, but at least in the next
That is
couple of
tomorrow.
days, that is
Yeah.
that is tomorrow. So you know, tune back in when we are back tomorrow with more Contenders Overwatch well, Contenders trials Overwatch, actually, here live here on Monkey Bubble. Yeah, Man of Class, closing statements from you, because I am dog tired after this one.
Look, we had some great series today. No matter what interrupts us, we just keep on trucking. And I just want to see more. I just want to see more of Group B. And we're gonna show you some beautiful highlights of the games that happened today. Naturally, you're not gonna let you go with just a blank screen. So enjoy those. I know I will. And yeah, tune in tomorrow for more Monkey Bubble coverage of the EMEA Trials EU. Yeah, season 2.
No, that's definitely right. I have been the Olomancer. With me has been the man of class. This is still Monkey Bubble, and we will see you tomorrow.
You're not going anywhere. Apagando las luces.